What's up, San Diego? What a game last night at Petco Park. What a night last night at Petco Park. Kept telling the fans all day, got to go out there and show out. Padres fans showed out last night, helped the boys get another victory. 11-0 at Petco Park in front of 47,000 people on a Monday. 47,000 people on a Monday. That is beyond impressive, San Diego. Beyond impressive. We are talking about a Monday in April. And I know the Cubs are a draw. And I know they were giving away the Aloha t-shirt. But 47,078. Don't want to forget about the 78 others. 47,000 on a Monday night. It's the school year. Kids had school today. People have work, and they're out there 47,000 strong, helping the Padres get a big victory over the Chicago Cubs. And we talked about it before. It's a playoff-type series. This is a playoff-type series. And the Padres fans showed up last night. Not only did the Padres fans show up last night, the boys showed up last night too. I mean, Dylan Cease, 5 2/3, gave up 3 runs, 2 of them earned. He had that bad pitch. That was a home run early in the contest. He ended up giving a couple more hits. I mean, he gave the home run to Bush, as I mentioned, but he wasn't awful. It was solid. It was a lot better of a bounce back outing on a Dylan Cease. You can win with that outing. Was it his best stuff that we've seen? No. We'll talk more about Dylan Cease later on in the show, about kind of the streakiness that he is. But I want to talk about the fans showing out last night. I mean, last night we saw the pictures of people posting and everything like that. And, the crowd with the, attendance, and, Sammy put that out there on Instagram with 97.3 The Fans account. It was reposted by Ruben Niebla and Joe Musgrove. But it's so impressive. You don't see those type of numbers in April anywhere in Major League Baseball on a Monday night. That's why they do giveaways on Mondays, to try to get people to go to a game. I thought San Diego wasn't a sports town. I thought San Diego didn't support their teams. That's why that other team left, right? We didn't show up. We never went to games. Give me a break. If you show any type of effort into putting money into your team, we will show up. And the effort will be reciprocated. And that's what happened last night. Other factors of yesterday's game, the offense was great. I mean, what can you say about Fernando Tatis Jr.? 2 for 4 performance, 3 runs scored, 3 RBIs, a couple of bombs.
1-2. Tatis swings, hits it in the air, deep to left field. Haps going back. He's at the wall, looking up. It's going to go! Second of the night for Fernando. A 2-run homer here in the 8th, and it's 8-4.
Huge home run. That was his second of the night. Jesse Agler on the call, 97 through the fan. And then that was before Luis Arraez went back-to-back with Fernando. I mean, you're getting home runs out of Luis Arraez. That's his second home run of the year. Little Petco Porch action over in right field. He was 3 for 5 with 2 runs scored and an RBI. Machado, 1 for 3 with 3 runs scored. Sheets, 2 for 4 with the run scored. Bogarts had 2 walks. Iglesias, a couple of infield dribblers that drove in runs. He was 1 for 5. Hayward 1 for 5 with a big RBI to tie the game. Tyler Wade 1 for 4. He had that hit early and then a couple of strikeouts later in some crunch time. Martin Maldonado was 0 for 2. But overall, a performance by the Padres where everybody contributed. Everybody was a factor in the game. And the way that the offense played is a sustainable offense. Sustainable offense for the Padres. We'll talk more about that later on in the show. There's going to be some downside of this. There's going to be some downturns in this season. They're not going to win every game from here on out. They'll have a couple of streaks where they will fall flat, and they'll have a couple of streaks where they lose a couple of games in a row. Hopefully that's not in the near future. But it's going to happen. But the thing is, this team is built in the way that they have their offense play. It's built to not really go through long stretches. I mean, high contact team, putting the ball in play. When you put the ball in play, good things happen. in an era of baseball where everything's home run and strikeout, the Padres are doing a great job of putting the ball in play. Their walks aren't very high, but when you have the second best team batting average in Major League Baseball, it's going to be okay. Put the ball in play. Good things happen. You made, the Cubs made a couple of errors last night. They had one on the board and then one that was a mental error where the ball fell into the Bermuda Triangle in left field. So you're putting the pressure on. Padres scored 9 runs in the last 3 innings, 2 in the 6th, 3 in the 7th, and 4 in the 8th. It is appointment viewing. When is the game starting? What am I doing? And how am I changing my schedule in order to do it? Last night, I play softball on Mondays. And I had 4 games last night at the Poway Sportsplex. And I'm telling you right now, everybody was more concerned about the Padre game than they were about playing softball last night, which was so hilarious to see. We get that sometimes, near the end of the season during postseason, kind of September and October. It makes a lot of sense. Very meaningful games, a lot of games that the Sportsplex will forfeit because most people want to watch the Padres and go play softball, which is totally, totally cool. Totally fine. But last night during the 4 games that I had to play in, my brother's playing shortstop for most of them. He has his phone out there watching the Padre game on his phone while playing softball because he can't take his eyes away from this team. I mean, it's a pitch comes up, he takes a look, where's the ball? Puts the phone, instead of in his pocket, he puts the phone in the infield dirt, which is disgusting, by the way. I don't know how he could do that. But he's watching the game at shortstop during the second game of what we're going to play for. And then the guy that runs the teams that we're playing on, Shoddy, he's like, that's not a bad idea. So he pulls his phone out, and he's watching the game at first base. And he's a little bit ahead of Matt, so he has to, tell Matt every time something big happens. And they are both watching the game as they play defense during the softball game. Oh, it was hilarious to watch. There was actually one play where the ball's hit to left field. My brother's playing shortstop. They do a relay. He puts the phone down in the dirt, catches the ball, throws the home, and as soon as he throws the ball to home, immediately picks his phone back up. There's 2 outs. Immediately picks his phone back up, starts walking to the dugout because he knows he just gunned the person trying to get an extra base at home because it's a force out at home. Back to the phone watching the game. And that was like most of the evening. When we were hitting, watching the game. In the field, 2 guys watching the game, giving everybody else at the Sportsplex updates while they had it on the TVs in the bar area. It was pretty remarkable to see. But that just tells you how much appointment viewing this Padres team is. I mean, the same thing's going to happen tonight. Whatever you might be doing. I mean, everybody's going to be watching the game somewhere around town. I mean, go around. If you got stuff going on tonight and you're walking around, I guarantee you people are going to be out on their phones watching the Padres. Because that's how fun this team is to watch. Their offense is fun to watch. Their excitement in the field is fun to watch. And you can't get enough of this Padres team. Off to a great start. Got to be able to keep it up. Obviously, Manny Machado post-game talked about how, it's a long season. We're going to go through some ups and downs throughout the year, and we're going to have to go through some trials and tribulations, but, we like the way we're playing right now. We got a lot to talk about the Padres again today. I mean, so many different ways that you could talk about this. We got updates on Jackson Merrill and Brandon Lockridge, which we'll get to later on in the show. We'll talk more about this style of offense that the Padres play and how it's going to prevent a lot of downturns. I mean, there's going to be some down points in the year, but the way that this team plays, it's not going to be for very long. And we'll see what happens tonight against Imanaga, going against him for a second time. We'll talk a little bit about Dylan Cease. He had a bounce-back outing last night. He was a very streaky pitcher. He's always been a very streaky pitcher. I mean, you're going to have, a lot of games in which things are up, and you're going to have a lot of games in which things are down. That's just the way Dylan Cease pitches, and that's what you signed up for. Maybe he needs, maybe it's the stash. Maybe he needs to grow the stash out. A little bit better without the beard. but he's at his best when he has the mustache. Maybe that's in the future. AJ Cassavell will join us at 11:30. We'll talk about some of the fringe players on this team, kind of the role players this year and the starts they're off to compared to last year. They're very similar. I mean, Gavin Sheets and Jurickson Profar, both in their first 15 games played for the Padres last year and this year, had the exact same batting average. Profar through 15 games was 15 for 45. Sheets through 15 games is 14 for 42. Both hitting 333. The only difference is Profar got him on a couple more extra base hits. He had a 10-12 OPS to start the season in his first 15 games, and Gavin Sheets has a 907 OPS. Gavin Sheets has a 157 OPS plus right now. What a find for AJ Preller. And you go through the rest of the list between Iglesias, Hayward, Gurriel, Gonzalez, and guys like Profar, Solano, Peralta, Rosario, and Azocar. They're very similar numbers for their first couple of games, in comparison. And last year, obviously, Solano and Peralta joined the team in the middle of the season. Rosario started the season, but didn't really play until May. Azocar was at the beginning. I mean, so some of it's a little bit rearranged, but the point of the conversation at noon is going to be AJ Preller finds that, he does a good job finding talent and mixing it in. Tatis off to an MVP style campaign. There's some numbers that show that he's not even playing up to his full potential right now, which is scary for the rest of the league. We'll talk about that in the 12 o'clock hour, get you a preview of Padres-Cubs Game 2 in the 1 o'clock hour. But, when we come back, I want to talk about how you showed up last night on a Monday night, showing off the attendance for the San Diego Padres and really showing that this is a sports town. We're just getting started on the Braden Surprenant Show on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
Arise hit in the air, deep down the right field line. Tucker going back towards the Petco porch, at the wall, looking up, gonna go! Back to back! Second of the year for Luis Arise. His third hit of the night, and it is 9-4.
If you had to pick two Padres to go back to back for home runs, I think a lot of people would pick Fernando. I don't think a lot of people would pick Luis Arise. I mean, Luis Arise is not necessarily a power guy, and the Padres are not big power guys. They're line drive hitters. And Fernando's home runs yesterday, line drive home runs. Arise was a little bit more of an arc to it. But that being said, back-to-back out of Fernando and Arise at the top of the order. Padres hitting extremely well at the plate. And I look at Fernando Tatis Jr.'s numbers, and we're going to get to this a little bit later. He's having an MVP start to the season, which we have said ad nauseum. But you look at some of the metrics. I mean, he's not even his like expected numbers are still way higher than his actual numbers, which just shows you a couple of things. One, it's not a fluke, and two, who knows how many stats? Who knows what kind of stats he'd be putting up if he was in his actual numbers? I mean, you look at his baseball savant page right now; it's unbelievable. It's through the roof. He's in the 100th percentile in expected weighted on-base average and expected slugging. A line drive hitter. I mean, Petco Park is for line drive hitters. And here's the thing. Every time I say guy's a line drive hitter, people freak out and be like, well, he hits home runs. Guys, you can hit home runs hitting line drives. They don't have to be moonshots like you see on the home run derby. Good teams and good offenses continue to pepper the gaps with line drives. And when they hit the ball hard, like Fernando did last night, they go over the fence. That's how line drive hitters hit home runs. Exit velo. That's why it matters. But you look at Fernando and the numbers that he has put up so far this season with his line drive home runs. I mean, he is hitting home runs at a very low launch angle. Some of the best to do it in Major League Baseball. So you could go out there just because he's a line drive hitter. Line drive hitters can hit home runs. We see it a lot with the Padres. Manny's a line drive hitter. He hits the ball out of the yard a lot. I'm trying to find the exact numbers on this because I saw it earlier today, and I can't remember what article I saw it from, but I'll get it before. But I want to mention, just how cool it was to see last night that the Padres and the Padres had their fans really show out for 47,000 at Petco Park. Truly remarkable on a Monday night. A school night. It's in April. The weather's not like amazing. It's still a little chilly for most nights in San Diego, at least the San Diego standards. But 47,078. That is, in terms of like the biggest attendances at Petco Park, that is the third highest attended game at Petco Park in the regular season. Playoff games last year had the most, 47,773, Game 4 of the NLDS, which beat Game 3 of the NLDS last year, 47,744, which beat the Braves game for the National League wild card, Game 2 at 47,705, which beat the Braves Game 1 National League wild card at 47,647. The highest attended game was last in a regular season was July 30th of last year, 47,559. Diamondbacks game on the 5th of July, day after a holiday, 47,171. And then last night's game in April, 47,078. I know the Cubs are a good draw, and it was Aloha t-shirt night, but aside from that, the crowd is insane. Tatis had this to say about the crowd. Crowd on your side is totally huge. Happy to play in front of San Diego fans. It feeds us. It's great momentum for us. Everybody can see it and feel it. Everybody that is here. Tatis with a couple of bombs on the way out. Fernando hit a 100-mile-an-hour line out to third base in the first inning, and then sent a 108-mile-an-hour homer over the wall in left field off of Jamison Tyon, and a 2-run homer off of Eli Morgan to left center field in the eighth that went out at 111 miles per hour, proving more and more confidence in the surgically repaired shoulder that forced him from last Tuesday's game in Sacramento, as taken out from an excerpt from San Diego Union Tribune's piece today by Jeff Sanders, or really last night. I mean, the offense is really feeding off of the energy from the crowd. And again, I looked at some of the numbers, and they had it in Kevin Acey's article in his daily newsletter about the attendance at Petco Park and about the home field advantage at Petco Park. I mean, it's pretty cool to see the atmosphere being a playoff level atmosphere night in and night out. I mean, I remember a time, I remember multiple times in my lifetime where it wasn't like that. On Monday night, there'd be like 15 to 20,000 announced attendance for a Monday night game. And if it was a packed game against a team like the Chicago Cubs, it was because there was more Cubs fans than Padres fans. I mean, the Cubs faithful has always been a group that has done really well taking over Petco Park, but that was not the case last night. That hasn't been the case in the last couple of years. They've done a great job, Padres fans have, of selling out the stadium, and the players are really, really jumping on it and taking advantage of it. 47,078 last night. And round of applause to all you Padre fans out there. Really cool. Really cool. I mean, it looked like on television, I didn't get to go, but it looked like on television it was like a playoff level atmosphere. I mentioned before, you guys got to bring it. You guys brought it last night, and you got to do it again, the same thing tonight. I'm going to go tonight and be able to see the crowd firsthand. But I'm telling you, the 11-0 start, I mean, it's very impressive for the Padres. There's not a lot of teams that can start 11-0 at home. And I mean, they're in some pretty good company throughout Major League Baseball and some of these streaks to start their home stretch, staying undefeated. I'm telling you right now, a lot of it has to do with you guys out there going out there every single night. You look at best starts at home. Tampa Bay in 2023 had 14 wins to start at home. The LA Dodgers in 2009, 13 wins to start at home. The Detroit Tigers in 1911 had 12 straight games at home. Padres tied the 2003 Kansas City Royals for 11 straight wins at home. Sometimes they, and this is pointed out in Kevin Acey's newsletter, one team that is sometimes listed as being the record holder for most consecutive home victories to start the season is the 1907 New York Giants. I think this is kind of a cool story. But the thing about the 1907 Giants was the first game that they had was a forfeit loss due to fans throwing snowballs at each other and eventually having the snowball fight spill onto the field in the ninth inning with the Philadelphia Phillies up 3-0. Umpires had to call the game, and it remains the only opening day forfeit in Major League Baseball history. A snowball fight in 1907. But in the stands at the New York Giants Philadelphia Phillies game, the only opening day forfeit in Major League Baseball history. Giants went on to win their next 15 home games. The only team to begin the season with at least 11 home victories and not make the postseason was the 2003 Royals, who finished 83-79 and would have been left out of even the current 16 playoff field had it been in place. Since 1961, 14 teams have begun a 162-game season with the record of 14-3 or better. Two, the 1978 A's and the 1988 Indians, finished with losing records, and the 1966 Indians finished 500. 9 of those teams finished with at least 91 wins. It brings a cushion. As Manny Machado laid out, a lot of baseball to be played. There's going to be some cold streaks that we're going to go through, but to start off the season, the way we're playing sets the tone for sure. Hopefully keep riding it for a little bit, and then after that, just kind of try to maintain it as best we can and maneuver as best we can. It's definitely nice to start off this way. It really does a lot of wonders for you as a ball club. It really does a lot of wonders. And the thing is, they're doing it, and they're not at full strength. How many people? Where's all the dumb people that had to say, like, when Fernando was out? Oh, look, the Padres had a great record without Fernando. They're better without Fernando. Dumb. Or you make the same comparison for like Jackson Merrill. Padres only lost one game without Jackson Merrill. They've lost 2 games with them. No, because that'd be idiotic. Padres are doing this without one of their all-star players and young phenom Jackson Merrill. How much longer is he going to be out for? We got an update on that. We'll talk to you about it when we come back on the Braden Surprenant Show on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. 10:34 on a Tuesday, a victory Tuesday. Padres continue to dominate in Major League Baseball, off to a great start on the year. Now improved to 14-3 on the season after a 10-4 victory over the Chicago Cubs last night. A game in which they were down 3-1 heading into the sixth inning before they tied the game up on a Jason Hayward knock, as well as a Jose Iglesias infield single, before adding 3 runs in the 7th, 4 in the 8th, and winning 10-4. The Chicago Cubs fans got to be so sick and tired of the Padres coming back against them. So tired of them getting back, the comebacks, with the way that they've been able to jump out to leads against the Padres and just watch them just slowly fade away. I mean, the comeback last night wasn't as crazy as the one last year at Petco Park on a Monday. Also had a big crowd. But with the comeback that they had against Chicago, in Chicago a couple of Sundays ago, and then last night, hopefully tonight they don't need a comeback. They can just jump out of the gate on Imanaga, who was good against the Padres last time out. So you don't have to make the comebacks. But this team is just they're built to make comebacks. I mean, they're down 8 runs last year for that big Fernando bomb that they had. Prolific will be at the game tonight. I'll be at the game tonight. We should have a good crowd again on hand for a Tuesday night in April. Padres and Cubs. Padres now at 14-3, have a 1.5 game lead over San Francisco, 2.5 game lead over LA, and a 4.5 game lead over the Arizona Diamondbacks. And you look at how nuts the National League is to start the season. We talked about it yesterday. The NL is way better than the American League. It's not even close. Best team in the American League is the Detroit Tigers, who the Padres play next week, followed by the Los Angeles Angels. But on the National League side, Padres, Giants, Mets, Dodgers, Cubs all have double-digit wins. There's only one team in the American League that has double-digit wins. Oh, happy birthday, Maria, in the chat. She'll be there to celebrate her birthday. Happy birthday, Maria. Looking at the overall MLB standings from top to bottom, not that it matters because it has no bearing on playoffs or anything like that. It's just kind of interesting to look at. Top 4 teams are in the National League. Padres, Giants, Mets, and Dodgers. 3 of the top 4 are all in the National League West, and the Diamondbacks are catching. If you look at the records for the top 10 teams in Major League Baseball, all of them are National League teams except for 3. 7 of the 10 are National League teams. Padres, Giants, Mets, Dodgers. Then you got the Tigers and Angels, Cubs, Diamondbacks, then the Yankees, and then the Phillies. Pretty insane start for the National League. Padres were able to win last night without Jackson Merrill in center field, and they were able to do it without Brandon Lockridge as well. And you look at the injury update that we got. Jeff Sanders yesterday wrote about the possible plan in center field now that Brandon Lockridge has joined Jackson Merrill on the injured list. Tyler Wade started there last night, could again tonight, even though the Padres face a left-hander in Shota Imanaga. The reality is that Wade, who has played all of 52 2/3 career innings in center field before last night, is their most experienced player at the position. That is besides Tatis, and he isn't moving from right field, as Jeff Sanders wrote about yesterday. Jackson Merrill, who is sidelined with a right hamstring strain, is eligible to come off the injured list on Friday, but that isn't happening. He has not even began to jog. That is expected to commence in the next day or two. Merrill will then need at least a few days to progress to running and then sprinting and then being able to change direction. So with that news, that kind of changes some things. So you have, and again, they laid out the different possibilities. And I'm curious to talk with AJ Cassavell about this at 11:35 about the center field situation. We talked about it yesterday. I said what I would do, and then I said what I thought they would do. And what I thought they would do is put Tyler Wade out there, and that's exactly what they did. But you look at the Fernando situation, I think you can look at it a couple of different ways. Mike Schilt yesterday said this: Tatis looks really good in right field. He's a platinum/gold glover. I feel like we've got a significant strength there. Let's keep it a strength. The way that Tatis talks about playing right field at Petco Park, it's almost like a second center field position, as AJ Preller has mentioned before. The right field gap and all the way to the corner is really big, so I see myself as more of a right fielder than a center fielder. I want a platinum glove in right. That speaks for itself. I'm really happy with where I'm at. They obviously don't want to mix it up too much. There's no doubt that the organization believes that he could do it. I think Fernando believes that he could do it. And for some time, when the conversation was about Fernando playing shortstop and then potentially playing in the outfield, he had like this aspiration to go out there and play center field. I mean, that's what he said when it first came about. And now all of a sudden it's like, well, doing a really good job in right. I don't know if I want to move. I don't know if they're doing it extra precautious to make sure he doesn't get hurt. Obviously, he's coming off a leg injury from last year. If it's one of those, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. I think if playoff time rolls around and push comes to shove, I don't think they would hesitate to put him in center field if he is the best option to be in center field for the Padres. I think early on in the season, it's a little bit different. And here's the other thing. I could see it in a sense that, and I think AJ Cassavell kind of alluded to this, so I might be answering my own question when it comes to Fernando in center field. But you look at the situation with Lockridge and Merrill, and it would only be for still a limited time. Is it worth moving Fernando to center field if he's only going to be there for a little bit of time? I guess the answer is probably not for the Padres. Like, why move him to center to move him back to right and keep moving him around the outfield when you could just keep him in the same spot and not mess with anything? I understand that logic. I think with the fact that it's early in the season, you leave Fernando in right field. But I have to think, if push comes to shove, come playoff time, God forbid you have the situation that you have right now, which hopefully is not the case. I bet you they think about putting Fernando in center. And if it comes down to like whether or not they win or lose, I bet you Fernando's like all for it. I think right now Fernando's saying all the right things. I think right now the Padres are being extra cautious, and they've said that all year. They've been extra cautious all year with how they're handling Yu Darvish, with how they're handling Jackson Merrill, with now how they're handling Brandon Lockridge, with how they handled Fernando's situation, not rushing anybody back either. They understand that they need to be healthy for October and don't need to get overzealous about being 14-3 and don't need to go crazy with the lineup because they're the best team in baseball right now, record-wise. I mean, they're not trying to win a President's Cup. So you look at the center field situation. Now, this is where things get a little tricky now. Tyler Wade got the start on Monday night against Jameson Taillon, who's a right-handed pitcher. Tyler Wade hits from the left side. But Tyler Wade's got 500 innings at the position at all levels in his career as a pro compared to almost 5,000 innings as a shortstop. Mike Schilt did mention Jason Hayward as a possibility in center too, but he's played just 7 innings there since the start of 2024. He's up there in age. I think in a pinch, maybe. But I don't feel comfortable with Jason Hayward in center field either. And then they got Connor Joe, who just got called up. The kid from Poway High School, who went to the University of San Diego, was a veteran outfielder now in Major League Baseball, made his debut in 2019 as a member of the San Francisco Giants right there at Petco Park. Same day that Fernando Tatis Jr. made his Major League debut. He was called up on Monday to replace Lockridge, and he got a handful of games in center this year at AAA El Paso after Forrest Wall was injured. But Mike Schilt on Monday said that Joe would likely fit into the left field first base DH rotation, which I see him as well. The other outfielder on the roster is right-handed hitting Oscar Gonzalez, who has played 9 minor league games in center field and none in the majors. So if you don't want to move Fernando, I mean, you got to have another solution somewhere. And it's Wade, it's Connor Joe, it's Jason Hayward, it's Oscar Gonzalez. Again, I know Eggy Rosario had been getting some opportunities in center field in the minor leagues. You already made the decision to bring up Connor Joe. If you bring up Eggy Rosario, you got to make a roster move. You got to put him on the 40-man roster, which he currently isn't on. You don't have a lot of options. And I think you could poke holes in every option that the Padres have. If you want to go from a more defensive side of things, I think Tyler Wade's your guy. But you look at his at-bats last night, and they're rough, man. I mean, they just weren't very good. And I don't want to knock Tyler Wade. I mean, Tyler Wade is what Tyler Wade is. It's not a lack of effort. It's not a lack of trying. I mean, the guy's doing his best. But the thing is when you're Tyler Wade, you can't take a pitch clock violation to start off an at bat with the bases loaded and 1 out in a big spot in the game. You can't do that. That's a mental error you can't have as a player if you're Tyler Wade. But the rest of the at bat, I mean, they ended up striking out. I mean, him striking out there, it's not. I mean, I don't want to say it's not really his fault. I mean, he is what he is. He's Tyler Wade. He's a good player off the bench. That's what he is. Plays a good defense. He's very versatile. He can pinch run. There's a lot of benefits to having Tyler Wade on the team. What he's not is an everyday starting player. And if he is an everyday starting player, which he's not, he'd be playing at shortstop, not in center field, which is, again, he's doing his best. He's trying to help the ball club out. Wherever he can help the team out, he's helping the team out. But the at-bats, I mean, you already have Maldonado at the bottom of the order, for certain pitchers. You have guys like Elias Diaz, who's doing okay. He's doing good. He's doing fine. But you don't need multiple automatic outs at the bottom of the order for the Padres. And again, it's not Tyler Wade's fault. Guy's doing his best. You can get on guys for lack of effort, but it's a hard job for what he's been thrown into doing. So if you want a defensive side, you got to have Tyler Wade in the lineup, and he's got to play center field. If you want more offense, you got a left-handed pitcher tonight in Imanaga. Who do you go with? Connor Joe could be the guy that faced left-handed pitching. I don't know how I feel about Connor Joe defensively in center field. So it's really going to come up to whether or not you want a defensive lineup in center field or if you want more offense in center field. Now, you do have a platinum glove fielder in right field in Fernando Tatis Jr. I mean, he can run down a lot of balls in the right. He can run down a lot of balls in the right center field gap. I mean, he could cover a lot of ground. But I look at, I mean, if you want to start Tyler Wade against right-handers, I guess. The thing is you got to, it's only a small amount of time. But the at-bats last night were just not that great of at-bats out of Tyler Wade. And again, he is what he is. He's just not an everyday starter. He's not somebody that should be getting multiple at-bats in a Major League Baseball game. That's just not his style. The term that Tony Gwynn used to use all the time, know who you is. Tyler Wade knows who he is. He's just not an everyday center fielder. But right now, the Padres need him to be an everyday center fielder unless they decide to go with Connor Joe. I wouldn't be surprised if they give Connor Joe an opportunity tonight. I think Connor Joe probably gets an opportunity in center field before they throw Jason Hayward out there. And you could go with Jason Hayward in center and have Connor Joe play left against the left-hander. I mean, you would have Hayward have to go against the left-handed pitcher. But I feel like Connor Joe, a little bit more youthful, could probably do better in center field than a Jason Hayward. And Jason Hayward said, hey, whatever the team needs me to do, I will do it. I will play in the outfield, any spot, right field, left field, center field. He's open to it. That's what a great veteran is on a ball club. So you love that attitude out of Jason Hayward, but I think, tonight against Imanaga, I think you got to go with Connor Joe in center field. And you know what? If Connor Joe makes some errors or can't get to a ball, that's the risk you take. You are taking a risk with every option. There's no foolproof option here, and you ain't making a trade. You just got to survive the next couple of days or however long it takes to get Jackson Merrill back, who they're acting precautionary with, which is totally fine. It's early in the season. This is why building up this record is so important for situations like this. But I can't imagine Tyler Wade getting more opportunities in center field on an everyday basis. Who do you think should play center field tonight for the Padres? 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. Do you want more of a bat for the Padres and a Connor Joe or Jason Hayward? Do you want more defense and a guy like Tyler Wade, but the at-bats aren't going to be that great? Tell me what you think. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. Let's get out to Troop in Chula Vista. Troop, what's going on, man? How you doing?
It's been a while, Braden. Hey, doing okay. I would have a real problem if they even remotely tried to move Fernando, because the trajectory of the ball, going off of that and then trying to move him back, like, he is a platinum fielder. I mean, why would you do that? And for my money, I'm taking, well, I went to Poway High, so I like Connor Joe, but you got to stick with your home, right? But I would probably go Jason Hayward over a month. We're going roster right now. I would throw him in there and see how it goes, because he's a veteran, like you had said. And I mean, Tyler Wade, you're right. Those at bats were, but again, he'll be able to go left center to right center without an issue. So I mean, like you said, pick your poison. But Fernando moving, worst case scenario, I think, for the team. It'll come to bite us. So
well,
that's all I got, bud.
Troop, I appreciate the phone call, man. Thanks again.
Yep. Right.
I just, I understand where people are coming from in that, or where the Padres are coming from that. They're obviously trying to protect Fernando, probably from himself. Fernando knows that. I think he's been well trained in speaking to the media. But that being said, it's just he's the best athlete on the field. Best athlete on the field. I mean, it's not like it's going to be that much of a challenge for him. I don't think it is. The risk of maybe getting hurt, I could see that being a problem. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. Who do you put in center field tonight against the left-hander? You go Connor Joe, Jason Hayward, or do you go with Tyler Wade again? I'd probably go with Connor Joe more so. But Jason Hayward brings a veteran presence out there. The guy's done it before multiple times. He might have, might be a little bit on the older side, but I'm sure he could be serviceable in center field defensively. And again, every answer to this has a flaw. It has a, what are you willing to give up to make this the best lineup you can tonight against the Chicago Cubs against Shota Imanaga? 833-288-0973. Jamie and San Ysidro, you're on the Braden Surprenant Show. What's going on, man?
Hey, Braden, how's it going?
Going well.
Yes, it is. Basking it down, baby.
What do you got?
I would put Jay Hay in center, and if you have to, Connor Joe in left. I'm not sure what Connor Joe's career outfield assists are, but he's got a pretty decent arm. And I think Jay Hay's got more experience, and he'd be better in center field. He's basking around. I don't know how Connor Joe's going to hit right now. He's major league pitching for a while. I would go with Jay Hay in center, unless you flip-flop Jay Hay to right with that decent.
Right, but that doesn't sound like they're going to do that. But I appreciate the phone call, Jamie. Thank you very much, man. That's a couple of Jay Hays right there. You go with the veteran, do you go with the youth, or do you go with the defense? I mean, that's kind of what your options are. And you could do that. I mean, you could have Connor Joe play left field tonight, and you can have Hayward in center. Wade's off. And so you get, Hayward, you get the experience in center field, and you add, Connor Joe in there to have the right-handed bat against a left-handed pitcher in Imanaga. You could still go with Oscar Gonzalez in left field too. I wouldn't put Oscar Gonzalez in center field if I had to pick. Those are the three options I think you have realistically, obviously factoring out the point that the Padres don't want to have Fernando in center field, as well as Oscar Gonzalez has very limited time in center. Let's get out to Juan and Vista. Juan, what's going on, man?
It's going great, Braden. I feel like it'd make a lot of sense, like you said, to have Connor Joe in center. Like you said, he's a little younger. He's had some experience playing in center field in Pittsburgh, and I mean, especially against a left-handed pitcher like Shota, having him and Oscar Gonzalez in the outfield makes the most sense to me.
Yeah, I think so. I think out of the three, I would not be surprised if Connor Joe is starting in center field tonight for the San Diego Padres. And one, I appreciate the phone call. It's kind of a tough spot to be in right now if you're the Padres in terms of you want to be solid up the middle. Major League Baseball, you got to be solid up the middle with your catcher, second base, shortstop, and your center fielder. And when you have Merrill, everything's great, right? And you're pretty sound up the middle with your usual shortstop and second baseman. A lot of people want to get on Xander Bogarts for his defensive plays, but he's not. He's going to make the routine plays. He's not going to make the spectacular plays. Behind the plate, I think defensively you're okay. You're good with Martin Maldonado. Elias Diaz has been okay behind the plate, but up the middle, you got to try to be strong. I think Tyler Wade brings it from a defensive standpoint, but tough at bats yesterday for Tyler Wade in some big spots. So I'm curious again, just like yesterday, the lineup constructions is going to be interesting today when they announce their lineup. If you want to join the show, 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. Padres offense has been dominant. I'm going to tell you why they can sustain this throughout the entire season on the Braden Surprenant Show, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. Hour number 2 of the Braden Surprenant Show right here live and local each and every day from 10 to 2. Leading you up to Gwen and Chris, and then the Ecowater SoCal Padres pregame show before Padres baseball at 6:40 on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan, the Padres radio network. We are the home of the San Diego Padres. If you haven't done so already, again, brand new show. Follow us at B_SURP. Follow us at BSURP on every social media platform. I got TikTok, I got Instagram, I got X. I'm going to be down at the ballpark today. So follow me for more Padres content. Again, we really appreciate everything that you guys do to support us. If you're watching on YouTube, feel free to give us a like. We really appreciate that. Takes you 2 seconds to do. The thumbs up really helps us out. We're trying to grow the show, push it out there as much as we can. If you haven't done so already, with the earthquake yesterday, I had a video of me reacting live to the earthquake. It's actually hilarious. I've watched it like 15 times. And every time it's embarrassingly funny. So you can check it out at my social media page at B_SURP. You can follow me on all social media platforms. You could also subscribe to my YouTube page as well as 97.3 The Fans YouTube page. I know a lot of people that take I try to find your show on YouTube and I try to Google and all this. Subscribe. Just hit the subscribe button below your screen. For those watching on computers, for those on the phone, it's underneath. If you just put the phone vertical, you can go hit subscribe to 97.3 The Fan page. And then you won't have to worry about searching for the show. It will pop up when you pull up YouTube. It'll be nice and easy for you to do. So it's free to subscribe. It's not like it costs. People see subscribe and they immediately think I have to pay for something. You're not paying for anything. Just hit the subscribe button and we'll have all of our shows ready for you when you log on to YouTube, including some of the old shows as well. So give us a like if you haven't done so already. I know we got over 100 of you watching on YouTube. Jump on the like button. For those listening in your car, if you missed any of the show, you can go back on YouTube. Or here's the thing. We are in podcast form too. Trying to get those subscriptions up as quickly as possible. It doesn't cost you anything. So if you're on if you pay for Spotify or anything like that, but wherever you get your podcasts, hit subscribe to our page at the Braden Surprenant Show. You can find us on Spotify, Apple Music, Odyssey app, wherever you get your podcasts. We are there for you. So be able to check that out as you will. Talking with a lot of Padres talk as well. We mentioned the Centerfield situation for the San Diego Padres, and it's kind of interesting what happened yesterday. Obviously, Connor Joe got some time in the minor leagues in center field. Sam Levitt was able to talk to him a little bit about playing center field.
You have played some center field down at El Paso. How has that been going so far?
Yeah, unfortunately, Forrest Wall went down with an injury in Oklahoma City, and Pete Zamora asked me if I had ever played there, and I had played there before, and so to get reps there was good, and get my feet wet there and get some reads off the bat was good. Yeah.
Very quick little answer. I mean, again, not trying to, obviously it was an unfortunate situation. He was pressed into action center field due to injury, which seems to be the case for the major league level as well. But the news that we got from Kevin Acey's report was Merrill, who was sidelined with the right hamstring strain, is eligible to come off the injured list on Friday, but that isn't happening. He has not even began to jog. That is expected to commence in the next day or two. Merrill will then need at least a few days to progress running and then sprinting and then being able to change direction. So he's not going to be eligible to come off. He's going to be eligible to come off, but he's not coming off the injured list yet, which puts the Padres in a little bit of a predicament when it comes to center field. And as mentioned before, there's no perfect answer. You're giving something up when you make this decision. You're either giving up defense or you're giving up offense. And how you really evaluate this is what you personally think, and we'll see what the Padres think as well. Do they evaluate center field as a defensive position or an offensive position as they, kind of look at the way their lineup is constructed? Now, again, remember, they thought the top six in the order was going to carry the offense a little bit, and they could use the other spots, most notably catcher defensively. They didn't say any of the other spots as being defensive positions. But does Connor Joe's offense outweigh Tyler Wade's defense. And I think the same thing could be said about Jason Hayward factor in this. Does his veteran experience outweigh, maybe the fact that he's a little bit older in center field? Again, it's not a huge, there's not a foolproof answer, because if there was, we wouldn't be having this conversation. It's a very interesting predicament for the San Diego Padres right now in terms of who plays center field. I think Connor Joe should play center field. I didn't like the at-bats that Tyler Wade had yesterday. He did get a knock in his first at-bat, but then later on, I mean, a two-pitch strikeout is insane. I mean, it's really insane. I mean, you can't, as a player like Tyler Wade, you can't take a first pitch, not even a pitch clock violation to start an at-bat in that particular spot. You just can't. And the thing is, he knows that. It's not like you have to say it. He knows that. And so that was a rough at bat. The other one was rough too. Again, it goes back to the whole Tony Gwynn saying of know who you is. He knows who he is, and the Padres know who he is. He's just pressed into action. So he's gonna do what's best to help the Padres organization out. It might not be the solution, behind or it might not be the solution at the plate in order to fill the void for the next handful of days. So I think you go with Connor Joe against left-handers. I guess you could give Tyler Wade some opportunities, but you don't really want him playing there multiple times. He's just not an everyday starter. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. Let's get out to Brad in Escondido. Brad, what's going on, man? How's your day going?
My day's doing all right, man. We're going to the game tonight.
Nice.
So I'm looking forward to it.
Where are you sitting tonight? What do you got? You got good seats?
We do, actually. We're in 122. We're 11 rows up from the security guard that sits on the field.
Okay, high roller in the high rent district.
Yeah. No, one section over is $20 more than ours. Trust me.
Okay.
We're the rollers, not the high rollers. Hey,
what do you got for me, Brad?
Hey, as far as tonight goes, you got to keep Tatis in right, because I was always told your best arm is in right field to throw to third. So Tatis is perfectly placed where he is defensively and with his arm. I think you got to give Connor Joe a shot. Let's see what he's all about. Otherwise, he's taking up a spot for somebody you could bring up.
Yep, I agree with you, especially against the left-hander. I mean, he hits left-handed pitching. He was one of the players that was brought in that was going to be a guy that could hit left-handed pitching for an organization that wasn't very good at hitting left-handed pitching in the past. So obviously, you got to take the chance with him with the left-handed pitching. But people in the chat were like, "Oh, you got to give Wade time." Wade is a career, backup player. I mean, he is what he is. He's a career 217 hitter. It's not like he's some young player that's, waiting to finally get an opportunity and whatever. I mean, he's on the team to be a pinch runner, a defensive replacement, maybe pinch hit every once in a while, but he's a career 217 hitter in over 773 at-bats. He's got 139 runs scored, 51 RBIs, 50 stolen bases. I mean, he is what he is. He's had only 3 seasons in which he had a positive WAR season, and that was 19, 20, and 21, all for the New York Yankees when he's 24 through 26. He is what he is. And if you want to do a platoon him and Connor Joe in center field, in the meantime, until Jackson Merrill's back, I'm fine with it. But again, everybody's got a little bit. There's some problem with everybody in this solution. Jason Hayward's a little bit older. Connor Joe, maybe not as athletic as a Tyler Wade defensively, but he can hit. Tyler Wade, your best defensive option. But again, at the plate, don't expect too much out of a guy like Tyler Wade. That's just how you look at it. I mean, he's 1 for 4. It got a knock out yesterday. It's not like he was, atrocious. I mean, he brings you a solution. He's just not. He can't be doing it every single day for a long period of time. He's defensive fill-in, pinch runner at best. That's what he is. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. Kike in Carmel Valley, you're on the Braden Surprenant Show. What's going on, Kike?
Hey, Braden, how you doing?
Doing well, man.
Like the new show, like the heavy Padre content, 14-3, so I'm a happy camper. Just real quick, when obviously with Jackson Merrill, you get defense and offense. So that's the number one, choice. So he's down. You bring in Brandon Lockridge. You get really good defense. And he was hitting, I think, 196 when he pulled his hamstring. So you really did, okay with not a ton of offense from center field. So, I mean, I think it's pretty straightforward with, who they have on the roster against, you get, about 2/3 of the starting pitchers are right-handed. So, against righties, you get Jason Hayward in left and Tyler Wade in center and Gavin Sheets is DH. And then against lefties, which you have the next couple days, including somebody pretty tough tonight in Imanaga, you go Connor Joe in left and Oscar Gonzalez in center, and Yuli Gurriel as DH. You might mix it up a little bit here and there. I know Gurriel has played a little first on the days you're facing lefties, and then you slide a rise over to DH. I mean, that's I think how you do it. Oscar Gonzalez or Tyler Wade are not Jackson Merrill, but you can make do, especially if Tatis and Bogarts and Machado are in the rise are producing what they're producing in offense. You look at the batting average and runs scored. I mean, Padres are on the roll on offense. I think you can take a little bit of a hit and put your best foot forward defensively in center field until Lockridge. He might actually beat Merrill back. And then, eventually, hopefully, Merrill comes back in about maybe another 2 weeks or so.
Right,
That's
KK,
my
and
opinion.
I appreciate the phone call. Oscar Gonzalez doesn't have a lot of experience in center field at any point in his career, so can't really put him out there. I don't think so. Sheets is doing a good job as the DH, but he could play in left. You can move things around a little bit and have Sheets playing left and have Joe in center or whatever you want to do. I mean, there's a lot of different ways that you can mix it up. And again, it's not like Lockridge was hitting the lights out before he got hurt either. But they obviously, I mean, again, if you look at the way that they evaluated their roster, they thought that Lockridge was better than Tyler Wade. That's why Lockridge made the team and Tyler Wade didn't make the team. I mean, so now all of a sudden it's like we got to give Tyler Wade a chance. I mean, they already made their decision during spring training. And they gave Tyler Wade a major league contract during the offseason. And they still decided to not have him on the opening day roster. So, he is what he is. He's going to fill in fine. And the thing with the offense of the Padres, they're probably going to be fine. I mean, these are definitely first world problems right now when you're 14-3 and you're the best team in Major League Baseball. You got a little bit of a question mark right now in center field. What do you do? Defensively, I think your best option defensively is Tyler Wade. Offensively, he's not your best option. Because, there's certain players in Major League Baseball that if they get everyday opportunities, they start to get exposed at the plate. And that's just what they are. But they get to play Major League Baseball, and Tyler Wade's going to help the team in multiple facets, and he's an asset to this team. It just might not be starting every day in center field, and he knows that. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. This offense is really good. There's a lot of big reasons why it's clicking, even without missing a lot of their players. That kind of philosophy they have. We'll take a dive into it and why it's sustainable. And why the Padres probably, even though they're going to go through a little bit of downtime throughout the entire year, it's not going to be for very long. And a lot of it has to do with a couple of things their offense does. We'll talk about that next on the Braden Surprenant Show on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. 11:19 on the Braden Surprenant Show. Coming up next, AJ Cassavell will join us, obviously talking about the Centerfield situation, starting pitching, bullpen. Padres up to a 14-3 start. I'm looking at, it's kind of interesting. MLB Network had a percentage chance of making the playoffs, and what it is today, according to Fangraphs, compared to what it was on opening day. A lot of movement for many teams in Major League Baseball, including projected win-loss totals being updated from opening day to now. Padres moving up in certain areas, maybe not as much as you thought. We'll talk about that at 1 o'clock. Some teams have plummeted on opportunities to make playoffs or win World Series. The funny thing is, if you look at the entire National League in terms of, and if you look at today, so as of today, according to Fangraphs, this is going to blow people's mind. In the National League, and we've talked about the standings. In fact, I'll mention the standings right now. Just in the NL, which is the best division, it's the best league. It's better than the American League. But just in the National League, if you look at the standings from top to bottom, it's Padres, Giants, Mets, Dodgers, Cubs, Diamondbacks, Phillies, Marlins, Reds, Cardinals, Brewers, Nationals, Pirates, Braves, Rockies. If you had to guess, as of today, according to Fangraphs, who the second best World Series percentage chances are for a team in the National League. The team with the highest odds to win the World Series, according to Fangraphs, as of today in the National League, is the Dodgers at 21%. If you had to guess, out of all of the teams I mentioned in the standings, and I mentioned them in order, who was at number 2 in percentage chance to win the World Series as of today, according to Fangraphs, at 9%, what team would that be? If you had to guess. See some people put in the chat. If you had to guess, second highest percentage chance to win the World Series. Sushi Sam says Diamondbacks. Personally, I would probably pick maybe like the Mets or the Phillies. But it's the Atlanta Braves. As of today, the Atlanta Braves have the second best odds to win the World Series as are in the National League at 9%. They're 5-11. They're getting better. But they have the second best odds to win the World Series, according to Fangraphs. Now, a lot of that plays a factor of where you're going to be at in terms of if you win your division projections, where you're going to seed in the playoffs, right? I mean, their path could be easier if you don't have to go through the Dodgers, whereas the Padres have to go through the Dodgers. You might be a little bit more with math and everything like that. So I can understand the logic a little bit. But at the same time, it's wild. We'll dive deeper into that at 1 o'clock. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. Justin in San Diego, you're on the Braden Surprenant Show. What's going on, man?
Hey, Braden, what up, buddy?
What's up, dude?
Man, so last time I talked to you, you were with Coach Cantera, and I miss that guy for sure. But we're here to talk about the Padres right now, and it's unbelievable this season starts. Right now, it's all about our starting pitching. They fail, they get better. They come back resilient. And it's about the culture that this team has brought to us. And the ownership right now, yes, it's been in shambles and it's getting together. But the culture, it's the culture. We're having fun.
Yeah, absolutely, Justin. I mean, we've talked about that multiple times on the show, and I appreciate the phone call, man. But it's the Padres have built this camaraderie with each other after multiple years of being on the same team, that they have this, and it really transitions into what I wanted to talk about. They have this very sustainable offense because of the next man up mentality and passing the baton. I mean, in the first couple of years with this organization, I mean, Manny Machado would be swinging out of his shoes on a couple of pitches. Last night, he worked an 11-pitch at bat in a big spot in the game and worked a walk. And he said it was very difficult. But he just wanted to get on base by any means necessary. I mean, that's the type of team that you have right now. with the Padres. This is the type of team you have. I mean, you have a lot less selfish at-bats and a lot more selfless at-bats. This is coming from the daily newsletter from Kevin Acee. And it really coincides with what we've been saying on this show. You know, Jameson Taillon, the Cubs starter, had allowed 2 hits and threw just 78 pitches when Manny Machado came up to bat with 1 out in the 6th inning, and the Cubs up 3-1. Machado saw 11 pitches, the last of which gave him a walk. And the Padres don't walk a lot. They put the ball in play. They're second in the majors with a 284 batting average. They entered last night's game, however, at the league's second lowest walk rate at 8.8%. But they generally find a way to do what it takes to get on base. Selfless at-bats. Machado said this of Taillon. He was dealing all game. He was throwing the ball really well, keeping us off balance. That was tough. So it was just going in there late in the game, just trying to get on base. I think that kind of just led to some good things happening for our club. Sheets was up next, hit the 5th pitch he saw for a single. Bogarts followed by drawing a full count walk. Then Jose Iglesias chopped the ball into the ground that went about 20 feet up the third baseline for an RBI single. Jason Hayward came up and lined an RBI single up the middle to tie the game. Tatis led off the next inning with a walk. Arise followed with a double before the Cubs intentionally walked Machado to load the bases again. Tatis came home with the go-ahead run on a wild pitch by Nate Pearson. Sheets drove in 2 more runs with a single. Padres then scored 4 runs in the 8th inning on a walk and back-to-back homers by Tatis and Arise before a single, another walk, and a fielder's choice put runners at the corners when Iglesias hit another ball into the ground, this one rolling about 3 feet before catcher Miguel Amaya picked it up and threw out a runner at second base while the runner at third came home. Just in the sequence of the last couple of innings for the Padres, in which they scored 9 runs, they found different ways to score runs, which means they're finding different ways to win baseball games. Really good teams find different ways to win baseball games. I've seen it at multiple levels. When you're a one-dimensional team and just live and die by the home run, you usually go through a lot of streaks, and you're a very streaky team. When you're the 2023 Padres, and you seem to just be relying on the big hit every single time and not finding different ways to scratch and claw and get runs, you go through a lot of streaks. In fact, you miss the playoffs. We've seen this out of a lot of teams that have been assembled by the Padres. This team has not been like that. I mean, you've seen a lot of it with Mike Schilt with the way this offense moves, especially second half of last season on into this season. They're grinding out at bats. They're finding ways to get on base, albeit not via a walk. They're putting the balls in play where they put pressure on the defense. I mean, we heard Jackson Merrill say that earlier in the season. We exude pressure. We don't feel pressure. You see that with their offense. That's how you go on runs in Major League Baseball. That's how you go on runs in baseball in general. That's how you stop long stretches of not being very good.
That we apply pressure, we don't feel it.
They apply it. You do that on offense. I mean, starting pitching does a lot too. I mean, starting pitching gets you to good points. We've talked about that before. The bullpen's been electric, but the way that this offense moves, you plug and play. Mike Schilt said it's competition. Always looking to take advantage of every single opportunity, and our guys give nothing away in competition. The Padres have had at least one base runner in 119 of their 151 offensive innings. That is an astounding 79% of their innings that they are making a pitcher work out of the stretch and worry about a runner and throw extra pitches. So even when they don't score, they don't go down easy, and that serves to wear down opposing pitchers. That is what leads you to sustainable winning. That's what leads you to not going on 5-game, 6-game losing streaks. And it's bound to happen. It's Major League Baseball. But when you're continually putting pressure on the other team, you grind out pitch counts, and you get to bullpens faster, and you play this style of baseball that's not only fun and exciting, but also very successful, you are going to be a really good offensive club. And with the pitching that you have, you're going to be a very, very good Major League Baseball team. It's not a fluke of a start. I think you're worried about I know they're going to go through some like trials and tribulations, but they're 14-3, and there's a reason why they're 14-3. It's not the schedule they've played. It's not they're off to a nice little streak at the beginning. It's not like this is a sustainable thing. This team's going to be good all season long, barring any major setbacks or major injuries. I love the way this team's playing. And when you got to deal with this pressure, you got to come into Petco Park, got to deal with the fan base that we got with 47,000 strong on a Monday night. Good luck to other teams. And we'll see if the Padres can continue that the next 2 days before they hit the road to take on the Astros. What are the Padres going to do in center field? It's a very interesting question. AJ Cassavell got a lot of good information yesterday down in the clubhouse. He will join me next to talk about that. Dylan Cease's outing yesterday, where the pitching staff is, and everything you need to know about the San Diego Padres when we come back on the Braden Surprenant Show on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. 11:36 on a Tuesday. Obviously a great Tuesday for all of us involved here with the San Diego Padres. Padres are playing really good baseball, off to the best start since 1998 at 14-3. They are the best record in Major League Baseball. Long season ahead, but a lot of good things to talk about, and that's where we're going to bring in our friend from MLB.com. He covers the San Diego Padres on a consistent basis. They're a daily beat writer for MLB.com. He's been doing it for a long time now. AJ Cassavell, also a 13-time Cassavell Family Wiffle Ball Tournament champ. I have to mention that every time we bring him on. Big Penn State fan. But, when you achieve a lot of great accolades, AJ, they have to be mentioned before you join the show.
Yeah, I think that's only fair. Going to make it 14 later this summer.
Yeah, as we talked about last time. And when Penn State wins the national championship in football, be sure to add that to your bio as well.
I don't know if that'll ever happen. I've kind of come to accept that the chase is the beauty of it all. I'm resigned to that fact.
We can't all be blessed like Adam and being Georgia Bulldogs, but you know what? We'll move on and focus on the San Diego Padres. And the biggest thing to me, AJ, I think the biggest storyline as of right now for San Diego, aside from the fact that they're 14-3, Tatis is off to an MVP level start. The bullpen is great. The only not really a concern maybe is what's going on in center field. Obviously, a lot of options for the Padres. They don't want to move Fernando there. We'll get to that in a second. But, as these next couple of days play forward and the fact that Jackson Merrill's not going to be taken off the injured list when he is available to do so coming up, where do you think this center field position is going to be? Do we think it's going to be Tyler Wade, Connor Joe, a mix of both? How is this starting to play out for the Padres in the next week or so?
Yeah, like you said, it doesn't really feel like much of a problem. It just feels like a question. Like the Padres have been so good and their pitching's been so good and the top of their lineup's been so good that do they really need a whole ton of production out of their number 8 hitter? Well, probably not. If they keep playing the way they are across the board, with the rest of the guys. But it is the most interesting thing that's happening with them right now because everything else is pretty much going according to plan and going well. So what happens in center field is I genuinely don't know. I think we saw last night a pretty good idea of what we'll get, which is Tyler Wade in center against right-handed pitching. But what do they get against lefties and how do they maneuver when they have to pinch hit late in games? Those are things we haven't seen yet. I would guess the likeliest option is Jason Hayward in center, allowing you to get a right-handed bat into left field when you're facing a left-handed pitcher like Imanaga tonight. But I don't really know how they're going to play it. Connor Joe has played there recently at AAA. I have no idea how he is there. He hasn't played there much, and obviously Centerfield at Petco Park is a pretty difficult place to play. But that being said, there's options. I don't think the Padres are overly concerned about we need a whole bunch of production from the number 8 spot in our lineup right now. But they'll need to figure it out because there's some possibility for some maneuvering, especially I think late in games if you're getting matchups that don't favor you very well.
San Diego Padres beat reporter AJ Cassavell joining us on the Braden Surprenant show, obviously talking the center field situation. So they have a lot of options. All of them come with some type of a conflict or a downside to it. Obviously, Hayward's with the age. Connor Joe, not a lot of experience defensively in center field. Tyler Wade, maybe more with the at-bats. I think a lot of people look at Fernando Tatis Jr. in right field. He's the best athlete on the field, a player that talked about playing center field before they moved to the outfield in general. In terms of the Fernando situation, is this something where the Padres don't necessarily want to move him to center field if it's a short-term solution? If it was more long-term, are they more interested in that, or are they just satisfied with how he's doing in right, try not to mix up and really mess with something that's not broke? I mean, there's a lot of different avenues for this, but I would imagine most people in the organization know he can do it. What's the big reasoning of why Fernando is not going to move to center at anytime soon?
I think it's more a Fernando thing than anything else. I think he is so happy in right field, and I think he's comfortable there, and he won that platinum glove, and he sees himself as an elite defender in right field. So when he was transitioning to the outfield, he spoke about eventually wanting to star in center. I think he's kind of come around to the idea that I can be an elite right fielder. I can win platinum gloves there. I can show off everything I want to do as a baseball player there with the arm, with the range, with the glove. And so he is happy in right field. And as a result, the Padres haven't considered moving him to center for this. I think like also the nature of these injuries is part of it. Like there are a couple hamstring strains. Lockridge doesn't seem to be that big a deal, and Merrill will be back soon enough too. Like if this were season ending for Jackson Merrill, God forbid, like I think the Padres would have to seriously consider moving Tatis to center, because how are you going to get the most production out of the guys on your roster? But this is not that, and so why mess with what's worked for Tatis? There's also the matter of he's coming off a season that he played with essentially a stress reaction in his leg, almost borderline stress fracture in his leg. Like, do you want to give him the demands of a new position, a position that requires probably a little more running around? Probably not. And so, again, like it's just the nature of these injuries and the fact that they're getting what they're getting from Tatis in right field, who, by the way, has looked awesome there this year. He's looked like a different. We saw him last year at times make some plays, but he's clearly hobbled by that leg injury. He looks like the 2023 Platinum Glove version of himself. And so it ain't broke, don't fix it. I think there's also the fact that, like, right field at Petco Park, I've said it before, I think AJ Preller says it all the time, it's basically a second center field because of how spacious that gap is and because of the demands of playing in the ballpark. Like, I think they're perfectly fine with Tatis and right, at least as long as these injuries are not that serious.
I agree with that. I mean, and you had mentioned it before. I mean, if there was a situation where, they don't have a center fielder, at the end of this for a long period of time, they obviously have to consider it. I would imagine, later in the season, it would be more of a conversation too than in April, when they're off to such a great start. Speaking of great starts, we've been talking about Fernando. I mean, he has been off to an electric start, a start so good. I mean, MVP level, and obviously a little bit of a scare with the shoulder last week, but he has answered with 3 more home runs. And if you look at all his numbers compared to his expected numbers, his expected numbers are still better than his regular numbers, showing that, not only can, it can be even better, but at the same time, it's not really a fluke of a start of a season. You've been covering this team for a long time. You went into the offseason. I mean, it sounded like Fernando was feeling the best that he had ever felt. And there's been a lot of talk out of camp that he was just hitting the ball a lot harder and everything seemed a lot better. In your, what is this now, the 6th year, Fernando, 5th year, Fernando? What have you noticed from him at this start of the season, even though he's had multiple years where he's missed some time? I mean, this looks like the best he's ever looked in a Padres uniform.
Yeah, the thing that stands out to me is the plate discipline. And obviously the health first and foremost. Like, he's healthy and he's back to himself. But he's also not swinging at pitches outside the zone. And when you have to come inside the strike zone to Fernando Tatis Jr., that usually ends pretty poorly for you. Like, he hits the ball harder than anyone. He gets on base. He wreaks havoc on the bases. And there have been like maybe 1 or 2 stretches this year where he's expanded the zone a little bit. And you're like, uh-oh, like, is he kind of going back to his old self? Which his old self is a perfectly excellent baseball player. But and then he kind of snaps right out of it, and he finds a way to force pitchers in the strike zone, and he lays off some pitches outside of the zone. That version of Tatis can win the MVP, and I projected that he would win it when they come around and asked our predictions for the entire season across multiple fronts, like we do an MLB.com column with our picks. He was the guy I picked because I know what he's capable of when he's healthy, and even I didn't necessarily see this leap coming in terms of his plate discipline. His chase rate is significantly lower than it had been at any point in his career, I think, except maybe 2020, and take that with a grain of salt because of how short that season was. So like, that's the thing that stood out to me is A, the health, and then after the health, B, just what he's doing at the plate to get the pitches to hit that he can do a lot of damage with.
San Diego Padres beat reporter AJ Cassavell joining me on the Braden Surprenant show. As we lead you up to Glenn and Chris coming up at 2:00. AJ, I mean, you've been it's your 15th season at MLB.com, and you've been with covering the Padres beat for a long time. I just feel like this team, at least in my limited experience of going down to the clubhouse the last couple of years, it's a very tight-knit group, and a group that has been, obviously together for a long period of time now. I've seen a drastic change for the positive with this Padres team in terms of like the way they act in the clubhouse, the way they're kind of like, together as a unit. How have you seen this clubhouse progress? And do you think that has a little bit of a factor into how good of a start they have put together with the camaraderie amongst each other, but also the continuity of having the same guys roll out there every single day.
Yeah, I think it's a huge factor. Like, and vibes are obviously so difficult to quantify, but in baseball, especially where it's every single day for 6 months of the summer, like the vibes really, really matter. And we learned that in 2023 when we saw the vibes weren't very good. And we've learned it the last couple of years when the vibes have been excellent. I think there were fair questions to ask about whether the vibes would carry over from one year to another. I talked to some people who during the offseason about like what team chemistry is, and especially like the people involved in roster building around the league, like how they go about that. And they said it doesn't really carry over from year to year generally. Like you need to make sure you've got a different plan in place for the next season to keep that what it is. But it has carried over for the Padres, and I think they obviously they lost a couple guys and they bring in a couple guys, and they have to make sure the guys they bring in fit into that mold that they're looking for. But like you said, it's the same core group of players that have hit the ground running this season. And it feels like they expect to win, and they expect there's not very many. I don't see many selfish at-bats. I don't see many guys that are looking out for themselves. I see guys that are moving the runners and taking, I don't know, sacrifice flies when that's what needs to be done. And it's just like, it's a fun brand of baseball to watch, but it's also, I think you can kind of see the trust that these guys have, that the next guy is going to do what's needed to win a game. And frankly, like, I think it's been a driving force behind what they've done this season. It's not to discredit like how talented they are. They're obviously a really talented baseball team, but there's something to be said about the sixth inning last night where Manny Machado works that 11-pitch walk, and then they get a bloop single that probably should have been caught. And as soon as that happens, I think, oh, well, they're probably going to win this game, because that's all it takes. You know, they have that belief that once you give them an inch, they'll take a mile, and that's what they've done.
You've talked about the offense a lot. We just talked about it on the show. I mean, it's 100% pass the baton and trusting the guy behind you and all that sort of stuff. And when you have an offense like that, you're going to win a lot of games. But, you know, to go to the pitching side, when you have the pitching staff that the Padres have, that was a little questionable going into the season, at least in the starting rotation. I mean, you knew that, you know, with Darvish going down during spring training, and you knew you didn't have Joe Musgrove, you know, Pivetta kind of made things a little bit easier, but there were still question marks with Hart and Vasquez, and then you lost some depth with Waldron. I mean, there was a lot of, you know, pieces getting put together in the rotation. You look at the way that they have started the season, and even with some of the downturns, they've been able to bounce back. You know, maybe a lot of that has to do with Ruben Niebla, but the starting pitching, you know, you haven't seen the starters individually have back-to-back bad outings throughout the year. And I think a lot of that has to do with the pitching staff that they have put together, but also what Ruben Niebla has been able to do.
Yeah, Ruben deserves so much credit for this, because those guys rave about the fact, like Kyle Hart has the start that he did in Chicago. And I just know from talking to different pitchers, like over Niebla's time here, but I think we all overreacted to that start. And even I did. I kind of wondered, well, would he be in the rotation for the next one? And I think Niebla just says, all right, we need to make whatever small little tweaks and you'll be just fine. And I'm confident in it. And the fact that he's done it for as long as he has, that confidence flows right into the pitchers that he has. And he has the right tweaks and the right fixes to make. And then the pitchers make them, and they're confident enough to go out there and do what Kyle Hart did in his last start against the Rockies. So, like, it's from Niebla on down, like the whole pitching staff, like the whole pitching side of things on the coaching staff. Like, they put together really great game plans, and they do an excellent job, and this bullpen's been fantastic. There's also something to be said about the kind of complementary nature of what the Padres have done on the pitching side. Like, when they've needed it, their starters have given them the big innings that they've needed. When they've needed a bullpen saving start, or when the bullpen has needed to step up, the bullpen has done the job. Like, everyone's kind of been able to do what's asked of them when they've needed to, even right down to the low leverage bullpen guys covering the important innings later in games when the Padres are either losing or behind. So it's a whole pitching group thing. I would just give so much credit to Ruben Niebla for instilling that and finding that level of confidence in the bounce backs that they're going to see from those guys.
Playing really good baseball to start the season at 14-3. AJ, thanks again for joining us today. Really appreciate it. Keep up the good work, and see you down at the ball game tonight.
All right, see you there. Thanks, Braden.
And big thanks to AJ for helping us out, as always. Does a great job covering the Padres for MLB.com. Has been doing it for a long time here in San Diego. We got to get to today's sports thread.
You know that group chat? The one that's always blowing up with the biggest sports takes, debates, and breaking news?
You got barbecue back there, and you didn't invite me?
Yeah, we've got that too. Welcome to the Sports Thread, where we break down the top 5 stories in sports, just like you would with your crew.
Oh, no! Disaster! What a bad idea!
No filters, no silence, just real talk.
All right, got a lot to get to and not a lot of time. Here's Adam Kluge.
Number 1.
The Cardinals made it known during this past offseason that they wanted to trade Nolan Arenado. The team had a deal in place with the Astros, but Arenado exercised his no-trade clause to nix the deal. Yesterday, the two teams met for the first time this season, and Arenado explained his rationale for not wanting to go to Houston, saying, quote, Kyle Tucker is one of the best players in the game. When you see a team trade him, 99 out of 100 players would probably be wondering, what does that mean? That's the question I asked myself. And obviously, if I went there, Bregman wouldn't have been going there. That's another player. Does Nolan Arenado's reasoning make sense to you?
Yeah, makes sense. I mean, he obviously wants to get traded to a team that wants to compete and wants to be very good. I mean, I think he was more inclined to be on a team with Tucker and Bregman. And when he saw those guys leave, he's like, nope, not going. I'm going to stay here in St. Louis. Why move to a team that's not going to be as good in his opinion?
Number 2.
The University of Colorado announced yesterday that the school will retire the jersey numbers of Shedeur Sanders and Travis Hunter on Saturday at the school's spring game. Do these two players deserve to have their jerseys retired?
Maybe Travis Hunter because he won a Heisman Trophy, but I look at what Colorado has done in terms of their retired numbers, and there's not a lot of retired numbers for Colorado. There's been 4. Rashawn Salam at La Jolla Country Day had his number retired after he won the Heisman, but it was after he passed away in 2016. They retired it in 2017, and that was the 4th jersey number retired. And then in 2020, the athletic director for Colorado said, we're going to unretire all these numbers. And then they're going to unretire Rashawn Salam's number 19 years after they retired it. That's like the going rate. So all of these players took forever to get their numbers retired. The previous number retired before Salam was 1969, and these guys haven't even started their NFL careers yet. It's already like, we got to retire these kids' numbers. I think it's absurd. I think it's a joke. Travis Hunter, maybe in 5 or 6 years, he retires number because he won a Heisman, but there's no reason Shedeur Sanders number 2 should be retired in Colorado.
Number 3.
Damian Lillard has been sidelined since March 18th with a blood clot in his right calf, part of a condition he's dealing with called deep vein thrombosis. The Bucks announced today that Lillard will miss the start of the playoffs, but is making significant improvement and that he will soon increase his on-court activities, though they did not offer a timeline for his return to action. The 5th-seeded Bucks face the 4th-seeded Pacers in the first round. What % chance do you give the Bucks of beating the Pacers without Dame time?
Without Damian Lillard? They still got Giannis, don't they?
They do?
Yep. High percentage.
Give me one. Name of the game.
80%.
Number 4.
The Dallas Mavericks are set to play the Sacramento Kings in the play-in tournament.
Hey, they made it.
I'm sorry?
Hey, they made it.
They did. Mavs GM Nico Harrison and CEO Rick Welts held a roundtable this morning with select local Dallas media members, marking Harrison's first public comment since briefly speaking immediately after trading away Luka Doncic. A roundtable, what a concept. Cameras and audio recordings were not allowed to record Harrison's comments, according to Mark Stein. According to reporters in attendance, Harrison said he has no regrets about trading away Luka, adding, quote, part of my job is to do the best thing for the Mavericks, not only today, but also in the future. And some of the decisions I'm going to make are going to be unpopular. That's my job, and I have to stand by it. On the eve of a win or go home playoff game, which is the bigger story here? Nico Harrison saying he has no regrets about trading away Luka, or having a media session with only select reporters and banning recording devices rather than being transparent.
Number 2. I mean, are you kidding me? You asked me that question on the sports thread a couple of days ago. Maybe it was last week. Do you think Nico Harrison has any regrets? And I said, no, he probably doesn't.
Well, he can't say it publicly. What's he going to say?
There's no way he
Wish
does.
I had that one back.
I mean, maybe like, hey, we thought about it. I mean, the fact that they had like select media, you couldn't record it. What a joke. Best interest of the Mavericks in mind is not trading away your iconic player for the next couple of generations. That's a bad business move.
Number 5.
Sticking with our extensive NBA playoff coverage, the third-seeded Knicks will face the sixth-seeded Pistons in the first round. Knick fans are known to travel well, so the Pistons are doing everything they can to protect their home court advantage for the games in Detroit. In order to do so, the team has restricted anyone from buying tickets to games whose billing address is outside the state of Michigan. The Pistons are not the only team in sports to pull this maneuver. Is restricting ticket purchases to local fans fair or foul?
Padres do it. Play LA. I don't mind it. I mean, they're trying to get more local people to do it. They can sell their tickets wherever they want to sell their tickets to. And if they want to drive the price up on the aftermarket, I mean, I don't mind it because when TCU does that, my tickets become more valuable when I resell my tickets. It's great. It's great for the season ticket holders alike. It's Adam Klug on the Sports Thread. When we come back, we got more Padres things to dive into. How's the role players doing this year for the Padres compared to last year's role players? We'll dive into that. Plus, take a look at Fernando Tatis Jr.'s MVP campaign on the Braden Surprenant Show on Segment's #1 Sports Station, 97.3 The Fan. Lunchtime hour. It was a Rosati's Pizza at the station today. Goodbye party to our friend Sam from sales. Now she is getting promoted to another job at Odyssey. So big congratulations to her. So we got some Rosati's Pizza in the house. Delicious. Try to scarf some down on my lunchtime hour. Adam's going to try to go scarf some down right now. It's good stuff. But anyway, back to Padres baseball. 833-288-0973. 833-288-0973. Padres off to a great start. I don't know how many times I have said that in the last month, but they are. They're 14-3 now on the season after a big win last night against Chicago, a game in which they were down 3-1 at home. Not many games that they were down at home this season. They come back, they score 9 runs in the last 3 innings, and they improve to a 14-3 mark, which is best in Major League Baseball, but gives them a 1.5-game lead on the Giants and a 2.5-game lead on the Los Angeles Dodgers in the National League West and a 4.5-game lead on the Diamondbacks, who are all expected to be playoff contenders in 2025. We're going to take a look at some of the playoff percentages in the 1 o'clock hour and how they have gone up for some teams and have gone down. Not too much movement for the Padres. They have some movement, but not a lot. And we'll talk about that in the 1 o'clock hour. But a big storyline of the offseason for the Padres was, trying to bring back some of the players that they had on the team already. Everybody wanted Donovan Solano back and David Peralta and Kyle Higashioka, as well as guys like Jerks and Profar. Profar obviously serving a 80-game suspension right now. And so you had to re-add role players on the fringes. And so that's what the Padres did. Gavin Sheets, Jason Hayward, Jose Iglesias, Yuli Gurriel, Oscar Gonzalez. So how are those role players doing compared to the role players of last year? Now, the role players of last year is kind of hard to put this together because there's a couple that started the season with the Padres. They didn't finish the season with the Padres. Guys like Donovan Solano and David Peralta are players that didn't start the season with the Padres. They joined midway through. And then, of course, guys like Profar, even though he's one of those, kind of role guys, I mean, he was the everyday starter in left field. So it kind of makes things a little different to compare. But I went in and I compared the start of the seasons of Sheets, Hayward, Iglesias, Gurriel, and Gonzalez. I left the catchers out of it. And I compared it to the starts for Profar, Solano, Peralta, Eggy Rosario, who started the season with the team, and Jose Azocar. And kind of compared the sample sizes of those players to the sample sizes of the players in 2025. And the numbers are very similar in terms of their first X amount of games. Now, even though Sheets is not an out, like he hasn't gotten a lot of starts in the outfield, he's mostly a DH. And he hasn't started every single game. He's platoon, but he has played 15 games so far this season. And I compared his 15-game start to Jerkson Profar's 15-game start last year. In 15 games this season, Gavin Sheets is 14 for 42 with a 333 batting average, a 907 OPS with 4 walks, 11 strikeouts, 2 home runs, and he has a 157 OPS plus. Again, an average player is a 100 OPS plus. Profar in his first 15 games, 15 for 45, 333 average, 10-12 OPS, 7 walks, 9 strikeouts, 2 home runs. Very similar. Now, Sheets having to try to match Profar's season is going to be very difficult to do, almost impossible. But he's off to a pretty good start. At least at the beginning part of the season, he has theoretically filled somewhat of a void of Jerks and Profar. Very similar numbers in their first 15 games. Then you got Jose Iglesias and Donovan Solano. Relatively the same kind of player in a sense that They were brought in and took them a little bit to get going and be in the everyday lineup. I mean, last year I argued that Solano needs to be playing every single day, and they didn't have him play every single day for a long period of time. Iglesias is kind of the same player. First 10 games that Iglesias has been a part of this season. He's 8 for 29 with a 276 batting average, a 689 OPS, 3 walks, 5 strikeouts, no home runs, a 98 OPS plus. Now they're not going to have the 98. They're not going to have the OPS plus for the players from last year for a certain period of time. Just comparing it. I mean, he's an average baseball player. Solano in his first 10 games with the Padres, 8 for 26, 308 average, very similar. It's a little bit higher of a OPS, 725. He's got 2 walks to 5 strikeouts, no home runs. 8 for 29 for Iglesias, 8 for 26 for Solano. 689 OPS, 725 OPS. 3 walks to 2 walks, both have 5 strikeouts, both don't have any home runs. Jason Hayward through 15 games, not that great of a start, although he is improving as of late. Through his first 15 games of the season, he's 8 for 39. He's hitting 205 with a 564 OPS, 3 walks, 9 punchouts, 1 home run, and a 61 OPS plus, which isn't great. Compared to Peralta's first 15 games of the Padres last year, he was 8 for 32, 250 average, 664 OPS, 3 walks, 8 strikeouts, no home runs. I mean, it's relatively the same stat line for both players. You get to Yuli Gurriel in 9 games, 3 for 23. Now, this is the only one that's not very close. You know, Eggy Rosario's didn't play in a lot of games to begin with, but he also was that right-hander that could hit left-handed pitching. That's what Gurriel's job is in the team this year. Rosario last year was 4 for 15 in his first 9 games. Gurriel's 3 for 23. 130 average for Gurriel, 267 for Rosario. 374 OPS for Gurriel, 1113 OPS for Rosario. 1 walk for Rosario, 2 for Gurriel, 6 punch-outs to 7 punch-outs. Rosario did hit 2 pumps in his first 9 games as a Padre last season compared to Gurriel right now. That's the only big sway in between 2024 and 2025. 5 games for Oscar Gonzalez. He's 3 for 9, hitting 333, 667 OPS. Very small sample size. No walks, a punch-out, no home runs, 92 OPS plus. Jose Azocar, 5 games to start the season for the Padres last year. 2 for 7, 286. Batting average, a 661 OPS, 1 walk, 2 strikeouts, no home runs. These are both very small sample sizes for both sets of players at the beginning of the season. But they're off to pretty much the same relative starts. You've had one player in Sheets that is off to who's gotten the most at-bats, 14 for 42 with a 333 batting average. Profar in his first 15 games, 15 for 45. Also a 333 batting average. Profar's got a little bit more on the extra base hits. He had a 10-12 OPS compared to Sheets, with a couple more walks, 7 walks to 4. Sheets has struck out more times than Profar in his first 15 games. They both had 2 home runs. Solano and Iglesias, very similar stats. Peralta and Hayward, very similar stats. Gurriel's the only one that hasn't really had the similar stats to his relative comp player in Rosario from last year's team. And then same thing with Gonzalez and Azocar in their first 5 games each. Relatively the same. The real point of this conversation is, all these role players that are filling in for the Padres, AJ Preller's done a good job in putting together players on the fringes, role players, veteran players that complement the core group of guys that he has put in here in San Diego. Even though some of those core players are hurt right now, the answers that they have and the replacements that they have for last year's guys so far are matching what they did in their first couple of games too. Long season ahead, small sample sizes, but a lot of people like to bitch, moan, and complain about this all the time. He's done it again, at least to start the season. We'll see where this progresses. I mean, Hayward's starting to hit a little bit better. I'd like to see more production out of Gurriel. We'll see if he makes it through the year with the team. Gavin Sheets off to a great start. I mean, having to do it for an entire season is different, but so far so good on the front of the role players, filling in for the players that you lost last year on 2024's team. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. We'll talk more Padres baseball with you, as well as a look at Fernando Tatis Jr.'s MVP campaign and why he could keep it up. The numbers that back it when we come back on the Braden Surprenant Show on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97 through the Fan. Baseball coverage on 97 through the Fan is presented by T-Mobile. At T-Mobile.com, we get a great deal on an iPhone 16 Pro. Coming up later this hour, we're going to get to our midday sports standoff where you have an opportunity to win a trip to Las Vegas if you take me down in some sports trivia. Qualified for a chance to win our grand prize, 2 tickets to either Disturbed, Ghost, or Pantera in Las Vegas, plus a 2-night stay at the MGM Grand in Las Vegas and a $150 gift card. Get tickets for all 3 shows now at Ticketmaster.com. We'll be doing that in the next segment, so I want to get you lined up for that. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. We were talking about, and we have been talking about, what the Padres should do in center field moving forward. Obviously, with the news that we got on Jackson Merrill. Merrill, who is sidelined with a right hamstring strain, is eligible to come off the injured list on Friday, but that isn't happening. He has not even began to jog. That is expected to commence in the next day or 2. Merrill will then need at least a few days to progress to running and then sprinting and then being able to change direction. So it's going to take a little time. They're being extra cautious with Jackson Merrill. And we will see what the Padres decide to do with that particular situation. Again, if you want to join the show, 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. Just talked about some of the player comparison between this year's role players and last year's role players. I think a lot of people all the time continue to, they always freak out when you lose guys, and you're going to have to lose players. I think with the way that the Padres have built their culture and they've built their team, and we talked about it with AJ Cassavell. The way that it is, I think you can plug and place a lot with this offensive identity that they have. I mean, we talked about it, the matching of a lot of these players at the start of their seasons here in 2025 match the start of the 2024 seasons for the players in their first couple of games with the Padres. Again, it was hard to compare. It's very difficult because of the roster being moved around a lot. But I think AJ Preller's done a pretty good job. I mean, some people in the chat were asking, somebody said like it's not fair to compare. We're trying to make it happen. But somebody else is like, so AJ is getting a good grade for his moves so far? I mean, it is what it is. I laid out the stats. I mean, you let me know if you think those are good moves. I mean, so far so good. It's matched what he lost. I mean, you're trying to find replacements in the algorithm, to quote Moneyball. They're finding different ways to do that. We talked about the situation with first base. Now, we haven't seen Gavin Sheets play a lot of first base, but when compared, we talked about it earlier. If you have Arise hit 5 home runs and Sheets hit 20 to 25 home runs, which is a big ask, but he's off to a great start. You could get 30 home runs out of a first base level position. Luis Arise has more home runs than he has strikeouts this year with 2. That's crazy. Crazy. I still see some people that are like, upset with, Xander Bogarts. Still, I mean, this guy, he's just never going to win you over. I mean, at this point, if you dislike what he is and what he has done, you're just a hater. I mean, you're literally just a hater. And I've seen that from a lot of different situations, whether it be group chats or anything. We need to spread the good word of Xander Bogarts. He's doing great. Doing exactly what you want him to do. I see this group text. My buddy sent me one of his group texts about, like, somebody said, Xander has 0 home runs and we're paying him $250 million. Enough. Come on, man. I mean, come on. We're worried about his home run totals now. I mean, you're just nitpicking things to hate on Xander because you don't want to be proven wrong on a player. That's literally all this is now. Xander's hitting 288 to start the year. He's got a 373 slugging percentage. His OPS is 759. He's getting down base at a 386 clip, which, by the way, is the best that he has had in his career. Best mark at his career. His OPS plus is 119. which is the best it's been since 2022 when he was an all-star. He's doing just fine. If he hits a bomb, great. He's part of a line drive hitting team that hits line drives. I mean, Fernando's home runs are mostly line drive mistakes that leave the yard because he hits the ball so hard. Same thing with Manny Machado. People go like, well, I think people expect X from Boston. You're still getting the same kind of averages from Boston. The only thing you're not getting is his best year, which was 2019, 2018. 2019, when he was 26, he had a 6.3 WAR. That baseball reference WAR. That's his best year he's ever had. He hit 309. He had a 939 OPS. He had a 139 OPS plus. That was the best year he had. He was 26 years old. Overall, looking at his stats in Boston, you got the same player. You're getting the same player. You're just not getting his best year. Well, you knew you weren't going to get his best year at age 26. He's fine. He's doing fine. And $25 million a year is not what it is. He's not. Dude is trash. No, man, he's not. He had a 4.2 WAR in 2023 in a Padres uniform, hitting 285. And this year, he's off to a 288 start. Guys in a home run yet. People are freaking out. Looking at his numbers. And I got his numbers pulled up. Yeah, he goes, I want him to be a beast. His splits are insane. It's opportunity. What about doubles? He used to hit 40 a year in Fenway. It's the strangest thing. Doubles. He only hit more than 40 once. In 2028, when they won the World Series at age 25, he hit 45 doubles. And in 2019, he hit 52. And everything after that, he's been under. And he hit 31 doubles as a Padre. So again, his numbers are relatively the same as they were in Boston. The only one that's different is 2024 when he missed more than half the season. Not more than half, but he missed a majority. He missed a decent part of the season. Missed 50-something games last year. I mean, enough with the hate. It's ridiculous. It's almost like Padres. There's certain Padres fans out there that have to hate something about their team. There's not a lot of hate right now. There's not a lot to hate. Again, I just don't get it from some of you people. I don't get it. I just don't get it. What more do you want him to do? Oh, we want to hit 300. Well, I mean, that's not what you signed up for. Guy's a career 289 hitter. He's hitting 288 to start the season. He is a career 352 on base. He's got a 386 on base this year. He is a career 802 OPS. His OPS this year to start the season 759. He's a career 115 OPS plus. He is a 119 OPS plus right now. Look at his stats to start the season. Look at his career stats. They're the exact same. This is the same BS that everybody talked about with Eric Hosmer too. You want him to be this untouchable human that's not even possible. And when he's not that, you go, the guy sucks, and it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous commentary. He's 32 years old. This is what you get. And he's getting same numbers across the board. If you look from 2013 on, are they his best years of his baseball career? No, they're not his best, but they are pretty much on par of a player that he was throughout his career in Boston. Go look at the numbers. If you're saying you want him to be 2019 Xander Bogarts, you're nuts. He's 26, was an all-star the year after they went to the World Series. Utterly ridiculous. Now, if you're expecting Fernando Tatis Jr. to put up MVP numbers, yeah, absolutely. And he is putting up MVP-type numbers. And they could even be better. He's actually slightly underperforming what his expected numbers are to show that he is poised for a great season. This is not a fluke of a start for Fernando. We'll talk about that when we come back on the Braden Surprenant Show on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. 4:33 on a Tuesday. Lot to be happy about as a Padre fan. Padres are playing very well. They're 14-3. We were talking about Xander Bogarts and his overall statistics. People are going like, just want him to be what he is in Boston. He is exactly what he was in Boston. Just like Eric Hosmer was what he was in at least offensively in Kansas City. People just assume that you get a $25 million a year contract, you're a power hitter. The guy's he's never been a power hitter. 2019, he hit 33 home runs. Is the most he ever hit in a single season. 2019 is the season for Xander when he was Tatis Jr.'s age. He's 26 years old. Guy played 155 games, second most ever in his career. Hit 309, best average in his career. 384 on base, best on base percentage in his career. 555 slug, best of his career. 939 OPS, best of his career. You look at that across the board, if you're looking at it from a statistical standpoint, that's an outlier season for Xander Bogarts, which skews results, right? So in Boston, 2019 is an outlier year. And in 2024, all-time lows when he missed time and played with an injury, another outlier season. So when you start doing averages and start comparing, because I saw somebody be like, well, I look at the Padres, like his career of the Padres and compared to like what his career is of the Red Sox are drastically different. When you factor those in, they're relatively the same. The doubles are on pace for the same. The home runs, I mean, this home run totals for Xander Bogarts in his career. 12 in 2014, 7 in 2015, 21 in 2016 when he was 23, 10 in 2017, 23 in 2018, 33 in 2019, outlier year, 11, 23, 15, 19, 11. He had 11 home runs last year, and he played in 111 games. It's not a home run hitter. Never really has been. RBIs have gone down, but that is a stat that he doesn't have any control over. Guys getting on base in front of him, he has no control over. So you can't say like, yeah, does he have to do a lot better with runners in scoring position? Yeah, sure, absolutely. But that being said, runners in scoring position, or that being said, guys getting on in front of Xander has no control over it. Absolutely zero control over it. He's already got 4 stolen bases. He's got 5 RBIs. He hasn't hit a home run yet. It's early in the season. But at the end of the year, you're going to look, he's going to have probably close to 30 doubles, as he has had every single year in his career. He's going to have probably close to 15 home runs. He will have around 15 stolen bases. Then he will hit around 270 to 280. I mean, that's what he is. That's what you signed up for. You didn't sign up for his best year ever. You signed up for what he averages throughout his career, and that's what he does. That's who he is. Now, whether or not the Padres decided to pay him more money for what that is not a Xander problem. That's a Padres problem. If you want to say that the Padres overpaid for him, sure, go ahead. But to say he flat out is a bum and he sucks is just utter stupidity. It's dumb. In fact, I'm wasting brain cells even talking about this. But he's off to a great start to the season. We'll see how it plays out. Hopefully he doesn't, completely collapse. I think that would be very rare. But he's playing well. Machado's playing well. You look at the rest of the lineup. They're contributing in every different way, and the Padres are doing really well. I mean, Xander's got a 386 on base percentage right now. He's already walked 9 times. I don't know why you would hate this guy. Class act, professional, great to everybody in the clubhouse, great role model for kids. I mean, there's no reason to just dislike this guy because you're upset he took a lot of money that only the Padres gave him. That's my spiel on that. Fernando Tatis Jr. is putting up MVP type numbers. He's already off to just an insane start. It's utterly ridiculous how good of a start that Fernando has had. He's even had to miss a game. But so far this year, he's already accumulated a 1.5 WAR. He has played in 16 games. He has had 70 plate appearances. He's 22 for 61, which is a 361 batting average with a 429 on base, a 672 slug, and 1101 OPS. His OPS plus right now to start the season is 209. An average baseball player is 100. His is 209. 6 pumps, leads Major League Baseball in home runs, tied with 7 others. But the dude is raking. And if you take a deeper dive into it and you look at StatCast, it's not a fluke. I mean, sometimes you get like some numbers like that where you get some bleeders through, or, based on how the ballpark is, or, how the defense is relatively aligned. I mean, you have the way you hit the ball. I mean, there's a lot of fluky things that happen in baseball. And what goes against that is expected numbers, right? The expected numbers are based on like your launch angle and how hard you hit the ball, and what's an expected result, based on what you've put into play, essentially. So you look at his numbers, and I said 346 batting average, a 340 on base percentage, a 635 slugging percentage. His weighted on base average is a 418. And his expected weighted on base average is a 492. But if you look at all of his batting average, on base, slug, and what his expected numbers are, all of his expected numbers are higher. And so when you look at expected numbers versus regular results, what you look at is any situation of if it's a fluke, or if they're getting lucky or unlucky. If it's a fluke of a start, or if, they're really earning it. And right now, if you look at his numbers, all of his expected numbers are higher than his actual numbers. I mean, he could actually be doing even better. He has had a little bit of bad luck. But what it tells you is it's sustainable. And this is not a fluke start for Fernando Tatis Jr. 358 expected batting average. A 361 expected on-base percentage, a 795 expected slugging percentage. He has had 9 barrels this year, but the best part is his whiff percentage is way down. He's not chasing a whole lot. He's keeping that low. He's swinging at good pitches in the zone. As AJ Cassavell told us at 11:35, I mean, you look at his overall metrics in Major League Baseball, the fact that he's not chasing is huge, but when you miss in the middle of the zone, or you have to force something in the zone because he's not swinging anything outside the zone, as AJ Cassavell said, and I quote, it doesn't end well for the pitcher, as you saw last night with 2 home runs. If you look at his percentiles in Major League Baseball, he's in the top percentile in expected weighted on base average at a 516, 100%. 99 expected batting average, 100 expected slug, 92 in average exit velocity, barrel percentage is high, hard hit percentage, all in the great categories. Bat speed in the good spot, squared up percentage and good, but the best stat is the strikeout percentage, which is in the great category in the 91st percentile. He's in the top 9% of baseball players in strikeout percentage, which means he's not swinging and missing and striking out all the time. His whiff percentage is about average, but his strikeout percentage is great. These are numbers that can carry throughout the entire season and can give you an MVP caliber year. What Fernando is doing. And when you look at the offseason, what the Padres did not do, you look at the roster, you look at guys like Xander Bogarts and Manny Machado and Fernando Tatis Jr. and Jackson Merrill when he's healthy, and you look at the core group of players, Jake Cronenworth also when he's healthy, and you go, yeah, sure, we can add, but we've already spent the money on this core group of guys, and this core group of guys is going to win a lot of games in Major League Baseball because we know they can perform at a high level. And if Fernando can stay healthy this year, which has been a big thing for him, and play the whole season, as AJ Cassavell said, there's nothing keeping him from winning an MVP and a full, healthy season. When he can play at the level that we know he can play at. And he is doing that right now at age 26. He's got to give a run at that MVP this year. And an MVP level year for Fernando Tatis Jr. means the Padres are going to be playing deep in October. It all coincides. And the way the team's playing and passing the baton and letting Fernando get more pitches and trying to get guys on base for Fernando, which has been difficult at the bottom of the order. It's a sustainable season for the Padres. They can continue to play at this. Not like a fluke what they're doing right now at the beginning of the season, the first 17 games. Are they going to play at this clip all year? Probably not. They'll run into some really good teams in about the middle of the season. They got to go through some very difficult stretches that they got to manage, but it's a sustainable product what they're doing right now. It's different than 2019 where they're getting some ridiculous pitching out of guys that could not get the job done in starting rotation, but they got good starting pitching. They have a bullpen that's probably one of the best, if not the best bullpen in Major League Baseball, and they got an offense that puts pressure on you all the time and has an MVP candidate in Fernando, and before he got hurt, really an MVP level candidate in Jackson Merrill. Padres and Cubs will be underway at 6:40 p.m. Pacific time tonight for Game 2 of the 3-game series. Pre-game show, Equal SoCal Padres pregame show with Sam Levitt at 5:40. Gwen and Chris will be on after me at 2 o'clock. But before we move any further, it's time for a Midday Sports Standoff.
Welcome to Midday Sports Standoff on the Braden Surprenant Show.
I can't believe what I'm seeing right now.
The ultimate head-to-head battle where sports knowledge and quick thinking collide.
No, it's no good. Are you kidding me?
Contestants will go toe-to-toe with Braden in a sports trivia deal where every correct answer brings them closer to victory.
Down the sideline! Wow! Unbelievable!
But 3 strikes and it's game over.
This is not Detroit, man. This is the Super Bowl.
Can you outsmart Braden? The Midday Sports Standoff starts now.
Time for the Midday Sports Standoff, where if you take me down in a trivia game, you could be qualified for a chance to win our grand prize. 2 tickets to either Disturb Ghosts or Pantera in Las Vegas, plus a 2-night stay at the MGM Grand in Las Vegas, and a $150 gift card. Get tickets for all 3 shows now at Ticketmaster.com. Kyle in San Diego is called in to play the game today. Kyle, what's going on, man?
I don't know. Not much, man. How are you?
I'm doing well. Well, Kyle, Adam's going to ask us a sports trivia question that has multiple answers. For every one you get correct, you get a point. Every one I get a point. And we will go back and forth until the list is gone. If any answer repeats itself, you will get bonus points for every time it is on the list. And whoever's got the most points at the end wins today's contest. Now, if you answer wrong or not in the allotted amount of time, it is a strike, 3 strikes, and you're out. And if we happen to tie, you automatically win because we like giving away prizes on the Braden Surprenant Show. Does that make sense?
Makes sense.
All right, let's get after it. Here's Adam Klug.
The NBA playoffs tip off today with the play-in tournament. And as your home for NBA playoff coverage right here on the Braden Surprenant Show.
Yes, and on Ben and Woods. I heard Woods is a big NBA guy.
Oh, yeah.
Huge NBA guy.
I had 3 questions in the sports thread, so that was a joke.
I know.
Let's find out how closely you two follow the NBA. I know Braden doesn't follow closely at all. You got a good chance to win here, Kyle. You ready?
I got a really good chance to win.
Name me any of the last 10 NBA champions. Easy question, right?
Yeah.
Last 10 NBA champions.
Yeah.
Remember, repeat winners get multiple points. You get to go first, Kyle.
The Golden State Warriors.
Four championships in the last 10 years for the Warriors. I think that's called a dynasty.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Put you in a big hole there,
4
Brady.
out of 10.
It's gonna be hard to come back from that one.
Yeah. I'm gonna go with the I'll go with the Cavs.
It's okay, we like winners, right?
That's right. We like winners.
Cavaliers. 2016 NBA champs.
I'm gonna go with last year's Boston Celtics.
I like how he says last year's. Like, he's not asking if that's the correct answer. He knows it's the correct answer.
Oh yeah, I know that.
5-1. There's only 4 correct answers left, Braden. So you've got to get them all. And Kyle's got to miss them all for you to. Well, that would still be a tie. So I think that's actually a win right there.
Yeah,
Give you one more chance.
The Lakers in the bubble season.
Yeah, the Lakers in the bubble season.
All right, Kyle.
Kawhi Leonard.
Yep.
Kawhi Leonard with the Toronto Raptors.
Give me a win on that
I mean, the Warriors were gonna hit first.
It was a strategic thing to make sure you guessed that one first. We also have the Bucks and the
Yes.
Nuggets
And the Nuggets
as
would have been my
champions
other.
the last 10 years. But again, 40% of the last 10 champions, your Golden State Warriors, who are in the playoffs again this year after trading for Jimmy Butler.
50% from the state of California. If you include the Lakers in the
Hold tight,
bubble
Kyle. I'll
year.
grab your information during the break.
Well, that was a quick one. We got Clay and Tim. We can get to those. Let's get out to Clay in the South Bay. Clay, you're on the Braden Surprenant Show. What's going on, man?
Hey, Braden. How you doing, man?
I'm doing well. Can't complain, Clay. I live in America's finest city, and the San Diego Padres are 14-3 in first place in all of Major League Baseball. It's hard to complain right now.
Exactly. I mean, like coaches say, never have enough pitching. I think we're doing fine. Haters are going to hate. They're always going to hate, and I'm right with you on that because nothing irritates me more than hear about people banging their gums about players not living up to their particular expectations. But having said all that, I'm going to say the cohesiveness of the Padres. I mean, they're all drinking the same Kool-Aid. I mean, they're all talking the same stuff. They're walking the same walk, and they're all about the team feel. And the pitchers, when did you ever hear any pitcher after the game, whether it was good or bad, all of them say that they're going to watch their film, and they're going to get with Ruben and see what they can do to improve their next game. I mean, it's just great. I mean, the excitement in the team, the excitement in the park, Braden, it's just off the charts. And let's not forget about even the clean baseball. Their fielding percentage is phenomenal. I think they've only got 8 fielding errors for the whole season so far for your normal infield, outfield players.
Yeah, they're playing really clean baseball, and they're hitting the ball well. I mean, they're winning in every aspect of the game, and they're finding different ways to win. I mean, they can win by in multiple ways, and that's very dangerous for any baseball team. I mean, they're not just relying on home runs, they're not just relying on some some small ball. They could do it all, and that is a sustainable outcome in Major League Baseball. It's a sustainable outcome in all levels of baseball, and that's why the Padres are a very dangerous team to play. Especially when you got a guy like Fernando putting up MVP numbers. He's very dangerous in the box. Clay, appreciate the phone call, man. We'll talk to you next time. Thanks again for calling in. Let's get out to Tim in La Jolla. Tim, you're on the Braden Surprenant Show. What's going on?
Hey, how's it going today?
Doing well. Can't complain.
Good. Well, hey, a couple things. I think the Padres' window is obviously to win now. I'm a big believer in buy low, sell high. I think Xander getting off to this good offensive start to the year in terms of primarily batting average. I think if we could trade him, and let me explain why, is his defensive metrics are one of the worst in baseball. There's been several games, I think the Cubs was an example where he wasn't able to get the ball to second base to end the game, and they lost. He has hard times turning double plays and the worst rated arm at shortstop. And right now, he's being protected by Merrill, and so I think that if you could basically unload half of his salary with a handful of prospects and use that money to re-sign guys like Arias, or in the short term, a plug-in shortstop until DeVries gets here, that unloading him really gives them a lot more money to build around the team, maybe add a pitcher. I mean, he's basically locking up 25 to 30 million a year for the next 8 years. And my assumption is he's a very old player defensively in the way he moves, that if you can, you're going to get a lot more for him this year or maybe next year than for sure down the road. He, in person, when you watch him, he's just doesn't have the wheels or the arm, and it's not evident on TV, but when you're in the stadium. So my message is, if they really want to win now, the only thing he really does is he hits for average. But other than that, no power, high strikeout rate, bad arm, lack of lateral movement. Get some sucker team to pick up his contract and add players. What are your thoughts?
Well, I only have a little bit of time. Tim, I appreciate the phone call. So he wants to eat half his contract, which would be $12.5 million a year. And then use the other $12.5 million to spend money on a rise and get a starting pitcher, which is not humanly possible. And then also add a different shortstop to go it, because that's how. So Xander is so poor at defense that you would rather trade and eat half his contract for $12.5 million a year, and then try to use the other $12.5 million a year to replace him, and then also get starting pitching and also sign Luis Rise, because that's how bad of a defensive player he is. I'll talk about that when we come back. I'll have my thoughts at 1 o'clock. Braden Surprenant Show, staying on Sports Station 97.3. 1 o'clock hour on the Braden Surprenant Show. Talk a lot about Xander Bogarts. Everybody wants to get rid of him. I just, Tim ended up calling back to clarify that, he's talking about opening up the cap and just getting him off the books. I understand. I understand what you're saying. But you're only getting 12.5 off the books because paying for half the contract, it still counts as an AAV. It still counts as the average annual value. So you're only getting $12 million off the books, which is really, in the grand scheme of things, only worth about an average ball player. I mean, Jurickson Profar just got $14 million. So, you're going to get somebody less than that, or maybe, spread it amongst everybody else, but, it's not like you're really saving that much money. And he's not that bad at all those metrics that he's worth eating half the contract. You're still paying for half of it. So you're not really saving money. You're paying him $12 million to go away and play against you. So it doesn't make, to me, that doesn't make a lot of sense from a money standpoint. And losing prospects. Because he also said, you got to attach prospects because nobody wants his contract. I mean, you willing to give up Ethan Salas for that? No. Guy does it well with the bat. He doesn't throw the ball hard to first. O'Neal Cruz throws the ball hard to first. He's got the best arm. When he played shortstop, he plays center field now. Why? Because he throws the ball, he zoos it into the stands. There's a lot of things that involve with him as a player. He's not, in 3 years, he's not going to be the starting shortstop for the Padres. Is he a Gold Glove shortstop? No. Is he the flashiest shortstop? No. He makes the routine plays. I watch him in person too, Tim. I go to the games. I watch him in person. He's fine. I care more about offense than defense anyway in baseball. I do. I've never been a build an entire defensive team. I think that's ridiculous. I think that's almost borderline stupid. You have to have some good defense. If the team plays good defense, he just needs to make the routine play. That's all the Padres are asking him to do. And again, we are nitpicking at little individual things for a player that is doing exactly what you thought he was going to do when he came in. Now you have to give something up for a lot of these spots. You're not going to have the perfect player on every single team, in every single position. It's called building a roster. This is how you build a roster. You have to give up somewhere else in order to plug and place. Not everybody's the Dodgers and go try to buy the best player at every position. It's called roster construction. I would much rather have I'd much rather have Xander Bogarts than Ha-Seong Kim every day of the week. He's a way better hitter. Kim's a better defensive player. I prefer offense over defense. That's just me. I'd rather put 9 guys out there that can rake than a bunch of guys that, low average, low offensive numbers, but they're all great. They're all sick with the glove. Cool. I've seen the Padres do that. That was very boring baseball from 2011 to about 2018. I'd much rather have the offense, and you got the pitching to support it. I don't need Xander making diving plays. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. Let's get out to Evan in La Mesa. Evan, what's going on, man?
Hey, Braden. Great show as usual.
Thank you.
I just had 2 things I wanted to say real quick, and I may speak a little bit more harshly than you're willing to do, just because of the position you're in, having to answer the fans and everything. But the first is just a general PSA to radio callers: is don't ask the host how they're doing. It just sounds ridiculous and it wastes time. The second is about this trade Xander Bogarts crowd. It's a pipe dream. It's ridiculous. We're, as you put more eloquently than I'm going to put, we are committed to him in a contract, for better or worse. Trading him is not going to happen. It's a pipe dream. And all you people calling up on radio shows and talking about your friends to trade Xander Bogarts, all it proves is that you don't know ball.
I'm glad you. I didn't have to say it. I am doing well though, Evan. You can ask me how I'm doing. I'm doing well. I got a guy in the chat like Manuel. Come on, man. You getting no defense and no offense with Bogarts. What are you talking about, dude? Like, just, come on, stop. You're getting offense out of Xander Bogarts. Relax. Things are good. I mean, if the guy was batting under 200, you could make the argument you're not getting anything out of offense for him. His on base percentage is 386. I don't get it. I mean, even when he does well, you have to find people have to find little statistics that they do poorly at. I mean, if we're gonna nitpick a bunch of humans, I mean, you know what? Let's go find some flaws out there. You know, Fernando's only got one double this year, man. Only got one double. Guy usually hits 33 doubles. He only got one. What's going on? Oh, you know, not a lot of RBIs out of Fernando. Only not too many. He's never had a 100 RBI season. Come on, man. The Padres maybe giving Xander Bogarts more money than they should have is not a Xander Bogarts problem. That's a Padres problem. He's on the team. He ain't going anywhere. They ain't trading him. They're not eating money to trade him. They are not giving up Ethan Salas or Leo DeVries to trade him or any other prospect. And the other thing with prospects too, and again, everybody's got their own opinion. That's why, and I appreciate everybody's opinions. I appreciate Tim's opinion. I appreciate Evan's opinion. And they're going to be different. There's people in the chat that just don't think Xander Bogarts is that great. Look, and I think, honestly, Tim's right on his defensive metrics. They're not very good. But I don't need him to be a superstar at shortstop. He's not costing you a lot of games. Yeah, he doesn't throw the ball very hard at first base. Oh, here we go. No home runs and 5 RBIs. Dude, we already talked about this. If you're going to throw the home run stat at me and not look at his average and his on-base percentage or slug, you're like, come on. Anyway, back to Tim. Tim brought up good points about the defense. Yeah, his metrics for throwing, not very good. Doesn't have a strong arm at shortstop. He can't get his outs above replacement. Isn't very good. Yeah, sure. I personally don't think that's that big of a deal. I don't. I value offensive numbers more than defensive numbers in baseball, especially in Major League Baseball. Manny's got 1 home run. Nobody's on Manny's ass for only hitting 1 home run. Get him out of here. He stinks. Trade his ass. 1 home run. What a bum. I mean, come on now. Xander Bogarts has no home runs, and we're going to be all upset about it. Manny's got 1. What does it matter? Seriously, what does it matter? Give me a break. Luis Ariz has 2 home runs. Give him a contract extension. Sign him up. Power hitter. 17 games into the season. Look at some of the averages. These guys playing well. I mean, I was sitting here going hey, maybe I'm starting to win some people over on the Xander Bogarts thing. Again, they're on your team. He ain't going anywhere. You might as well support him. I don't know what the point is in just rooting for his demise. And so I have to ask the question. And it's still people still want to trade him. And I'm telling you guys, it's not, if you want to point out that you value defense over offense and that's like Tim did, sure, I'll listen to it. But if you're just going to find random stats and just be he sucks at this, get rid of this guy, I'm going to call you a fool because you're being a fool. Again, as Katie, we're winning. They're winning. They're winning. I'm not winning. I'm not on the team. They're winning. Again, it's the difference is Manny brings defense and still splits gaps. Xander doesn't hit gaps. Dude hits ground ball singles. That guy had a splitting gap shot against the Braves. He's had multiple of those. I mean, it's insane. I mean, the levels, and here to me, this is what gets me the most. And it happens all the time. There's one Padre a year or, every couple of years that Padres fans just have to just get on their ass and set unrealistic expectations. As I mentioned before, Xander Bogarts, you look at his entire career, 2019 outlier, 2024 outlier, everything he has done in San Diego has been the exact same thing he did in Boston. Averages are very similar. Doubles are similar. Home runs are relatively similar. It's all relatively the same. It's on par for what he was as a player. That's the player that he is. Contract isn't great. Not his fault. Padres offered him that kind of money. Sure, sounds good. But anyway, That's where you're at with Xander Bogarts deal. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. Eric and Fallbrook, you're on the Braden Surprenant Show. What's going on, man?
Hey, man. How you doing, Braden? I had to stop my run for this, okay? I listen to you while I work out.
Oh, nice. Hopefully I don't stress you out too much, man. We got to keep the heart pumping there.
No, I love it. It's great. It's a good time. But, man, I'm just baffled, man. I mean, years of empty stadiums. Now we're filling them. Product on the field now is reflecting the people going to the stadium. And then, I mean, here's the thing. If we're always looking for something negative, we're always going to find it. And as somebody who's played competitive, played college soccer in my life, you found the strengths in somebody to help them pick up their weaknesses. You're only as good as your worst player. And the fact that Bogarts is even on the chopping block right now is absolutely insane to me. I'm going to support these guys regardless. We're going to lose eventually, and I'll still show up. Everybody's yelling at the TV, saying they could do better, yet they're not, right? Because if you could have, you would have. But I'm just trying to be the voice of reason, man. I'm just stoked for the team, stoked for the dudes. When I was young, just turned 21, I go to the ball games and just be happy if we got a run or two, you know what I mean? And on Friday, there was a group of dudes behind me, and they were just so stoked, a little happy, you know what I mean? A little on that liquid courage. And I was stoked for them because I looked at myself, 9 years ago and was like, man, I wish I had this growing up. This is freaking sick. But again, just voice of reason, man. Just chill. It's San Diego. I'm just stoked we have a great product on the field. And I think instead of being negative, we should just be encouraging those and hoping that he fulfills the contract, whatever that means, right? So, but I appreciate the time, Braden.
No, appreciate the phone call, Eric. Voice of reason. Extra positive. Really appreciate it. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. Again, I just, if you want to give the Xander hate, if you want to explain it to me from a statistical standpoint, you value defense. I mean, I thought Tim did a good job explaining it. All right. I respect your opinion. I disagree with it, but I respect that, he had stats available and wants them to be a little bit better defensively, and fine. I think what he brings offensively is good enough. I think it's worth it. I don't like the cheap shots on players that just get a lot of hate and extra pressure for literally no reason. Because you have set these unrealistic expectations because of the contract that he signed, and you didn't really watch him play in Boston, and you just assume that because you signed him to this deal, he was expected to be this big thing, and he is exactly what he was. He is the same player, with the exception of 2019 when he was at his peak in 2026, when he was 26 years old. Sorry. I mean, Fernando's 26 years old this year. He could have an MVP season. They just said on Intentional Talk, is this the best season Fernando has gotten off to? I mean, if you look at Fernando and he has his best season ever this year, and then he continues to have the same average seasons, and when he's 38 years old and he's still playing for the Padres or whatever, it's like, oh, this guy. I mean, you're gonna have younger players be like, this guy's younger people go like, this guy sucks. Come on, man. Give me a break. Rudy and San Marcos, we'll get to when we come back. We got to get to a break. This is the Braden Surprenant Show on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. 2 more segments left. I'm looking at a lot of the stat comparisons with Xander Bogarts. It's really taken over the last hour of the show. There's some other stuff I wanted to get to. I'll probably get it to tomorrow a little bit, but tomorrow we're packed. We got Matt Snyder coming on tomorrow, as well as Brock Ungrich, and it's a shortened show because we got an afternoon baseball with the Padres and the Cubs. I mean, if you look at the 4 shortstops that were signed in Xander Bogarts' I almost said recruiting class, his free agency class, the 4 shortstops. Remember, there's 4 shortstops. It was Carlos Correa, it was Dansby Swanson, it was Trey Turner, and it was Xander Bogarts. This season, early sample size, he's outplaying all of them offensively. Last season, it was kind of 50-50 just because he missed a lot of time, but over the 3 years, Xander Bogarts has outplayed Dansby Swanson. He has outplayed offensively Dansby Swanson. He has outplayed Carlos Correa. And then he has outplayed Trey Turner. Carlos Correa last year was a lot better with a 310 average and a 905 OPS. Carlos Correa has had the best singular season out of all of them, which was last year for Minnesota. But the conversation is not about Xander Bogarts. The conversation that people are upset about. Again, they put all their attention on Xander. The problem is, and the real point of discussion, is signing 30-year-old shortstops or 28-year-old shortstops to long-term deals is not a good idea. It's never been a good idea. But that's not a Xander, Carlos, Trey, Dansby problem. That is a Padres, Phillies, Cubs, Twins problem. There's not a lot of options out there at shortstop anyway. And if you list like the best shortstop in baseball, whoever that may be this year, in your opinion, as who you'd rather have playing shortstop, I mean, I'd love to have 9 Hall of Famers on my roster. That's not how you do. That's not how this works. Leo will be coming up in the next couple of years anyway, and then Xander will move to a different position. But again, from an offensive perspective, which is I think what you have to evaluate when it comes to MLB players, Xander is the same player offensively as he was when he was in Boston. And if all you look at is his 2019 numbers, when he was 26 and he had the best year of his life, you're going to be disappointed with every free agent you ever sign. Utterly ridiculous. I'd rather have Xander Bogarts than Trevor Story. I'd rather have Xander Bogarts than a lot of shortstops in Major League Baseball. Brings a lot. I mean, there's players out there that the Padres have given up on before that are still out there in Major League Baseball. That, you know, guys like Xavier Edwards, middle infielder that the Padres had part of their organization for a while. I mean, I like what Xander brings. I just feel like before you start jumping on the hate train, have some facts to back it up. I thought, again, Tim laid out, he doesn't like the defense. He values that. Sure. We just go like he hasn't hit a home run yet. I mean, well, Carlos Correa hasn't hit a home run yet. Trey Turner's got 1 home run. Dansby Swanson has been able to hit up 4 home runs, but he's hitting 176. Xander Bogarts doesn't have a home run. He's got a 386 on base. Anyway. I need money. Man, I wish we had Seager. Yeah, well, we should have a lot of guys. 833-288-0973. 833-288-0973. Let's get out to Jerry and Santee. Jerry, what's going on, man?
Hey, how you doing, Braden?
I'm doing well.
I don't mind asking. I'm not one of those guys that has to be instructed on what I can ask somebody or not, you know. Hey, listen, I'm a proud Boomer. I don't mind saying it. I've been watching the Padres since 1969. I think the 2 things that I want to say is if you're not happy with the way the Padres are playing now, then maybe you ought to quit watching. The construction of this team is never going to be perfect, nor is any team ever going to be perfect. But I think the biggest problem, especially with Xander, that people are having is nowadays compared to back when I was growing up, people care about the money, and I can't understand why. I think you brought up the best point. It's the Padre salary problem. It's not a fan's problem. I don't care how much they're paying any of the players, whether it's enough, too much. It doesn't really matter to me. It's the quality of play on the field. And And like I said, I'll reiterate: if you can't be happy watching this team, then maybe you just ought to, take up another sport or just not watch at all.
I agree, Jerry. I feel like but that's just fans in general. It's not just Padres fans. I think it's just the fans in general. They're like, oh, it'd be nice to have C.J. Abrams and James Wood. I'd rather have Juan Soto than those two players. So you can't look at the past all the time and be like, wow, I wish we had this guy. Would you rather have Abrams, Wood, and Gore over Michael King and the use of Juan Soto? I don't think so. Yeah. Would you rather have C.J. Abrams on this team and James Wood over Dylan Cease and Michael King? That's your trade. So you lose Cease, Vasquez, and Michael King, but you get C.J. Abrams and James Wood. You still want those guys? You still want those guys? I mean, yeah, it'd be great to have all those players and our current roster. That's not how this works. Like, you have to give something up. So, no, you don't have C.J. Abrams, and you don't have James Wood, and you don't have Mackenzie Gore, but you have Michael King, Dylan Cease, and Randy Vasquez. I would take those three guys over the three you mentioned. I'm sure James Wood and C.J. Abrams have great careers. Good for them. But it's not, you can't always just pick the best 9 guys you've had in your organization for the last, 8 to 7 years, 8 years, and just be like, I'd rather have all these guys. That's not how roster construction works. As Frankie says in the chat, totally agree. It's heavily dependent on timing. Heavily dependent on timing. You're in win now mode. You take future Hall of Famer Juan Soto 100 times out of 10. Sorry, not sorry. 100%. 100%. 833-288-0973. 833-288-0973. Brad and El Cajon, you're on the Braden Surprenant Show. What's going on, man?
Hey, Braden. How you doing, buddy? Congratulations on the new gig.
I appreciate that, Brad. Thanks for tuning in. We appreciate you.
So, clarify, did something come out from the Padres, or are you just reacting to noise from the idiot fans about Bogarts?
We were talking about Bogarts off to a good start, and people started to chirp trying to get rid of him. So we had to defend his honor again on the Braden Surprenant Show.
I'm with you. I don't get all the hate. I don't understand it. Same kind of thing in the off season when they're talking about, oh, we're not doing nothing and everything else. It's just, I don't know what it is with our San Diego fans, though. I don't know. We've got the best team we've had in my whole life. I'm a 49-year-old San Diego native, and I've sat through so many bad teams with Adrian Gonzalez as the only guy in our lineup, and we're so spoiled right now. And I don't get to how we got to this point where we can complain about anything with this Padres team right now. It's crazy.
It is crazy, Brad. I appreciate the phone call. Kind of losing you a little bit there, but thanks for joining in. It's not like people always want to just put everything in a perfect world of like, well, certain guys are going to be free agents. Well, yeah, that's the way it is. Again, it's timing. Padres are in win now mode. You got to try to do everything you can to build a roster to win now. You can't protect the future and get after it, be aggressive and win now mode. You can't have both. You either have a conservative general manager and a conservative front office, and you are okay with that, like the Baltimore Orioles, or you have an aggressive front office and you have a guy like AJ Preller that's constantly trying to make his major league team the best that it can during the window that he's got. I mean, you pick. You could be like the Baltimore Orioles and have this young group of players that are all studs and refuse to make any type of trades or additions to add to your starting pitching staff. And you just continue to be like, well, we got to keep all these guys to the future. Or you can have the San Diego Padres that get after it. I like the way Padres baseball is now. I think it's more exciting. I agree with a lot of the callers. A lot of us here that are born and raised, San Diego's been here for generations, have seen such boring, terrible Padre baseball. And we have exciting Padres baseball in the field. We have exciting atmospheres in the stadium. And we have exciting Padres baseball in the off seasons. The players have made the game exciting. AJ Preller has made the off seasons exciting. Even the last 2 off seasons have been like big splashes, but he has made roster moves exciting. And Eric Grupner and company have made the ballpark exciting. What more do you need? Again, I think a lot of players, it's conversation about certain things. I think people like to nitpick on other things. I will defend it on multiple fronts, especially when it comes to individual players. My biggest thing and biggest takeaway to all this is don't set unrealistic expectations for certain players and not for others. First of all, don't set unrealistic expectations in general. Understand the type of player that they are. Like Tony Gwynn says, know who you is. We should know who these players are before we start thinking they're going to be something that they're not. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. Jed in San Diego, Charles and Ramona, we're going to get to you when we come back. When we come back, we will give you a little bit of a preview of tonight's game. Plus, did the Padres' percentage chance to make the playoffs go up or down since their start? Are they really even a favorite to win the World Series after the start they've had? You'd be surprised at some of the changes on Fangraphs when we come back. The Braden Surprenant Show on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. Final segment of the Braden Surprenant Show. Get you ready for Padres baseball at 6:40. Equal Water SoCal Padres pregame show at 5:40 with Sam Levitt. Gwen and Chris will take over for me, and then I'm heading down to the ballpark. See you guys down there. Whoever's going to the Padre game, I'll be out and about. Going down to the yard after today's show to take in some Padres baseball. Electric crowd last night. You guys were outstanding. We'll talk about the Padres, and we'll try to. If we don't have time, we'll talk about tomorrow. The playoff odds and how drastically they have changed for some teams and how they haven't changed for others. And who's got the best chance to win the World Series in the National League, not named the Dodgers? Are you kidding me with some of these answers? I mean, the Padres are listed as, oh man, they're like 9th or 10th on the list in the National League. Like 8th or 9th. We'll get to that in just a little bit. I want to get back to your phone calls, though. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. A lot of people weighing in on Xander Bogarts again. There's nothing new. I mean, I think he's been off to a good start, and I think he's done a good job. And I was like, where are the haters at? And a lot of haters out there. Jonathan at the game. See you at the game. Can't wait. I can't wait either. It's a great time. Padres made that the place to be in town. It is appointment viewing, as Adam said. And I told my story yesterday about that at softball. My brother and Shadi, who runs one of the teams that we play on, we're both watching the game in the infield on their phone. Ball gets hit. Instead of putting the phone in the pocket, my brother put it in the dirt, in the infield dirt at shortstop, and then would make a play and then pick his phone back up. Disgusting. He did have a sick play though. This is really it was tight. Super. It was super gangster. Got a ball hit to the outfield. He's playing shortstop. There's 2 outs. Guy's trying to score second to home. He's the relay man at shortstop. Ball gets hit to the outfield. Puts the phone in the dirt. Gets lined up. Catches the throw from the outfield. As soon as he releases the ball to go home, he picks up his phone, resumes watching the game, and starts walking to the dugout as the ball is flying towards home plate, just knowing somehow he had hosed the runner from second coming around to score. On the money, out, ends the inning, walked into the dugout to continue watching the Padres. Hilarious. Appointment viewing. That's pretty gangster, dude. That's pretty tough. That's like Steph Curry getting the 3 ball and going like this. Unlike Swaggy P. Or I guess it was the lob. Swaggy P did that and then walked away and disaster.
I knew you were a closet NBA fan.
I know about it. I don't watch the NBA, but I know about it. You got to stay up with the times. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. It's got to Jed in San Diego. Jed, what's going on, man?
What's up, Braden? How you doing?
I'm doing well. Padres are 14-3. Can't complain about a lot.
I was just going to say, not much to call in and talk about, but real quick on the whole Xander Bogarts thing. I've been a huge Xander Bogarts supporter since the day he signed, and really what I saw out of Xander this year is I saw a healthy Xander going to spring training, work his butt off to get back into shape, knowing he was going to be the shortstop, and just really going to work. And touching on that, that's the one thing that impresses me the most about this Padres team, is that every player knows their role and takes pride in knowing their role. Now, I know fans set all these unreal expectations of the players, but the bench guys know they're bench guys. The superstars know they're superstars. The starting pitchers do what they do, and the bullpen takes pride in being the bullpen. And that's the best thing. And you saw it happen about the All-Star break of last year, is when everybody finally figured out what their role on this team was going to be. And when people find out what their roles are going to be and they take pride in it, I mean, we see what happens. It's something very special.
Super special. They're doing the right thing. They're having, selfless at bats. I mean, I thought Manny Machado's, and Jed, I appreciate the phone call, man. I thought Manny Machado's walk last night was such a, growing moment for the team in general. I mean, that's a time like back in the day, a couple of years ago, even with Manny on the team, where he feels like he's got to go out there and do too much. And all of a sudden he starts swinging out of his shoes instead of working the walk. Selfless at-bats of his team. Picking up where the other one left off. Understanding and the trust level from these players for their teammates, knowing that the guy behind them is going to get the job done. I mean, that's next level stuff. That's why this is, and the way that they play offense at the plate, it's sustainable. It's a sustainable offense that's going to make it through the entire year. They're going to be able to win a lot of games this season. Fangraphs, we'll talk about some of these projections, I think, tomorrow when we have time. I mean, if you look at what it was at the beginning of the season, and I think Victor Rodriguez has done a phenomenal job as the hitting coach. I mean, how many hitting coaches have the Padres gone through in the last 15 years? The offense has never looked like how it's looked like in the last couple of seasons under Victor Rodriguez. He's done a phenomenal job. Ruben Niebla, pitching coach, phenomenal job. I think the continuity with the team has been a big asset to them winning. I think the continuity of the coaching staff and understanding the same guys are there is a huge plus for the Padres. But you look at opening day's projected win-loss record for the Padres, Fangraphs had them at 81.5 wins. Since their start, they have now jumped up to 87.5 wins. And I think it's going to be higher than that. They've seen their make the playoffs jump. Win the World Series is kind of, it moved up, but the fact that there's other teams in front of them on that is kind of ridiculous. And this will continue to play out. But, as I need money, Will Myers went to like 7 batting coaches. Yeah, 100%. Continuity, consistency, culture, camaraderie, all of those C words have been a big asset to this Padres team, aside from the fact that they're a good team. I mean, if you didn't catch the AJ Cassavell interview, go back, listen to it on podcast form as you're heading down to the ballpark. Tune in on YouTube. Go back and listen to it and hear it. It's everything that I've been preaching on the show for the last 3 weeks. I mean, there's more to it than just having a very good roster, and they have a really good roster. They're pulling the rope in the right direction. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. Let's get out to Santee where Phil's standing by. Phil, what's going on, man? Phil, we got you now. What's up? We'll see you. Steven and Sandy.
How we doing? I wanted
there we go. Hey, what's up?
As far as with AJ, and we know he makes a lot of moves. Oh, sorry about that. Yeah, I wanted to just see with AJ. We know he's notorious for making a lot of moves, being a wheeler and dealer, but wanted to see your thoughts on if that would be the best move for us, given how well we're playing. Do you want to mess with the chemistry to bring in a personality that could help you out? And then if you could say a prayer for my mom, she has gonorrhea.
Just get a job, dude. Just get a job. Steven in San Diego, you're on the Braden Surprenant show. What's going on, man?
So, Braden, you're 30 just like me, right?
That is correct.
So growing up, I was like an Adrian Gonzalez fan, a Jake Peavy fan, and I'm just going to be honest with you. I never thought the Padres would ever get to this point after seeing those players just in their heyday, just leaving the team. And I just want to say to all the kids, all the families out in San Diego, that they are extremely lucky. Even with Xander Bogarts' contract, it doesn't matter if he's playing great or not right now. He's going to be on the team for 10 years. And I just want everybody to know that that's an amazing thing to have that type of continuity, that, like you're saying. Love the show. That's all I wanted to say. Thank you.
I appreciate that, Steven. Yeah. Keeping it the same. Consistency, camaraderie, all that stuff. I mean, it's been a big deal for the Padres. I think it's a big reason why they have won have been winning to start the season. But, it's great to see. It's great to see the Padres playing well. I mean, off to a 14-3 start in first place by a game and a half. Giants have been playing really well. I still don't think it's sustainable for San Francisco, but you know what? They're playing good ball. Just beat up on the Phillies yesterday. And they're right there. But you look at some of and maybe we'll get to it right now because I think we have some time. But you look at the way the season started in terms of predictions for Fangraphs and the playoff odds. And what really sparked this conversation was on MLB Network. They had it earlier today. And it was mostly for teams that were off to really bad starts and comparing them to where they were at the beginning of the season in terms of, your playoff predictions and how the really bad starts have knocked down percentage chances of making the postseason. So if you look at on Fangraphs, that you could go through it, and they got, a bunch of different projections and everything like that you can look at for playoff odds. And if you look at the National League in particular, with where everybody was at before the season started in terms of percentage chance to make the playoffs compared to where they're at now. If you look at the beginning of the season, you had a 98% chance for the Dodgers to make the playoffs, followed by the next best was the Braves at 93%. If you go like in different divisions. But if you're just focusing on the National League West, it was the Dodgers at 98%. Diamondbacks had a 60% chance of making the playoffs. Padres had a 32.9% chance of making the playoffs at the beginning of the season. Projected to go about 81-81, maybe 82-80 on the year. A 2.5% chance to clinch a bye. A 3% chance to win the division. And to win the World Series, the Padres at the beginning of the year had a 1.3% chance of winning the World Series. After 17 games, San Diego has gone from a 32% chance of making the playoffs to a 61% chance of making the playoffs. They've increased their wild card prediction from a 29.9% to a 50.5%. They had a 3% chance of winning the division before the season started. That's now up to a 10.9% chance, with a 10.3% chance of clinching a first-round bye. And they have now seen their win the World Series odds go from a 1.3% chance to a 2.9% chance. Just in the first 17 games of the season. That was pretty drastic numbers. Now, the World Series odds thing is interesting to me. Because the second most or the second best percentage chance for a team in the National League to win the World Series is the Atlanta Braves with 9%. They have a 9% chance to win the World Series, which is higher than the Padres at 2.9%. Braves are 5-11 right now. The next highest percentage chance of winning the World Series in the National League is the New York Mets at 7.7%. Phillies come in at 6.5%. Then the Diamondbacks at 3.9%. Then it's the Padres at 2.9%. So even Fangraphs still, with math and everything like that, they are still putting together, or they're still, despite their 14-3 start to the year, they still have a couple of teams in front of them. So Fangraphs still thinks that the Padres are off to a good start, but might start coming back down to earth here in the near future. I think that's kind of insane. I mean, the biggest one to me is the Braves have the second best chance of winning a World Series, and obviously it probably fits in with they get Acuna back, they're going to get Murphy back, they're going to get Strider back. I mean, maybe those big pickups in the middle of the season will be a big difference maker for Atlanta in terms of the World Series. But if you look at the playoff odds, it's looking like it's going to be the NL East versus the NL West in terms of playoff spots, as 4 teams in the National League West have greater than 50-50 odds to make the playoffs. Dodgers at 96.1%. Padres at 61%, Diamondbacks at 55%, Giants at 55%. In the National League East, Mets at 74, Braves at 67, Phillies at 65. And in the Central, it's like a 50% chance for the Cubs to make the playoffs, 54% chance to make the playoffs. And then Brewers, Cardinals, and Reds are like in the 20s. The Rockies have basically been eliminated from postseason contention already. You would think, would you think the Rockies would have at least a percentage chance of making the playoffs? Or is it just their division so good that they have no chance? They have a 0% chance of making the playoffs and a 0% chance to win the World Series. In fact, at the beginning of the season, they had a 0.1% chance of making the playoffs. The Rockies, it's like, why even play the season this year in the National League? 0% chance to start the year. It continues to be a 0% chance right now. That's honestly amazing at this point. They've been eliminated before the season has even really started. A 0. Unbelievable. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. Padres and Cubs tonight. It will be Imanaga for Chicago against Randy Vasquez for the San Diego Padres in tonight's matchup. Imanaga did pretty well against the Padres last time out in Chicago. Martin Maldonado was able to get him for a solo home run. But Imanaga on the year has been a pretty good pitcher for Chicago. Again, the big question to me is who's playing center field today with a left-hander on the mound in Imanaga? Is it going to be Wade again? They move Hayward over to center and bring another right-handed bat into the lineup by having Connor Joe play left field? I think those are all valid questions. We'll find that out in the next hour or so. Usually when the clubhouse opens, we will start getting a lineup. Imanaga this season is 2-1 with a 2.70 ERA, making his 5th start of the year. And again, earlier this year against the San Diego Padres, he was pretty good. He went out there and went 7 1/3, 1 earned run, 4 hits, 4 punch outs. He did give up the home run to Martin Maldonado. Had the benefit of some wind out there swirling around. I mean, Bogarts got a hold of one against Imanaga, and the ball died at the track. And he had another ball that he hit off Imanaga that was hit really hard too. So maybe Bogarts is poised to have a good showing against Imanaga today. But his last outing, Imanaga, was against Texas. They lost 6-2. He took his first loss of the season, went 5 innings, allowed 5 earned runs on 7 hits, with 1 walk and 4 strikeouts. Padres didn't even work a walk against Imanaga. He has walked at least 1 batter in every outing this year except against San Diego. Again, San Diego doesn't walk a lot. They put the ball in play and put pressure on teams, and I think we'll see a little bit of that as well. But if you look at his numbers the last time out, I mean, Texas hit him pretty well, and that was it. That was at Wrigley. They were to put 2 home runs against Imanaga. So he is today's starting pitcher for the Chicago Cubs. As for the San Diego Padres, it's Randy Vasquez. He did okay against the Cubs. I mean, it wasn't a great outing. He's 1-1 with a 1.72 ERA. If you look at, and Ben and Woods were talking about his numbers earlier this morning. It's the walks that are doing in Randy Vasquez. 4 walks in game 1, 5 walks against the Cubs in game 2, and 3 walks in his 3rd outing against the Athletics. That's 12 walks in 3 games for Randy Vasquez. Got to improve those numbers. And especially a patient team like Chicago can't be nibbling. They're not going to swing at it. So I'd like to see Randy Vasquez attack the zone. Hopefully the Padres could jump out on Imanaga. Should be a fun time again tonight at Petco Park. I'll be down there watching the ball game with all you fans out there. Thanks again. Make it a great Braden Surprenant show today. We'll talk to you again tomorrow. Shortened show, hopefully after a Padres series victory against the Cubs on 97.3 The Fan.